former workers for this same institution who are on CNN parading out their complete propaganda on behalf of the FBI, trying to cover up for the fact that this was a huge mistake, that everyone thinks this was a huge mistake. Democrats on the Hill think this was a huge mistake because they understand the ramifications of trying to take this step against a former president.
Reverence, it requires waiting for information before going into wild speculation and accusations. And I think the reason for that is because we know there are consequences
what kind of reverence is due? What kind of reverence is due to an entity that has proven itself over the past several years to be completely politicized? Reverence,
I would just like to finish the point.
To the FBI. I mean, come on.
But I guess Ben wants to talk during my time. But
no. That's absurd. That's an insulting statement to say. No one should have reverence for the FBI. The FBI works for us. They're not even Article 1. They're not even the first branch of government. And yet they came up to a member of Congress this week and said, we deserve your personal cell phone.
Where were you during Hillary? I feel like it's you have a reverence for the FBI when it's attacking your political
reverence for the FBI? Are you kidding me?
Look at the sobriety.
All of these people deserve to be in jail.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you something about us boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun, sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 770 cities around the world. We just finished our 13th year of broadcast excellence. Now in our 14th year, the Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. The Mar-a-Lago raid is the cherry on top of a corrupt criminal government. This unprecedented attack on an ex-president caps 7 years of trying to find crimes that he could be charged with. So far, all of them made up. This isn't new. This is the third term of the Obama-Biden administration. The same people are involved in leading an invasion of our border. Up to 2 million illegals in the last 1.5 years have crossed. Spread all over the United States. The coddling of Israeli enemies with payoffs to kill Jews. The reenactment of the Iran deal. The killing off of our oil pipelines unless you happen to be a West Virginia senator who shall go unmentioned, Joe Manchin. To top it off, an economy killer of an attack on small business with a new militia of 87,000 armed IRS agents who must agree that deadly force is okay. The 2020 election was stolen by the FBI, who shut down the Hunter Biden laptop investigation and conspired with the mainstream media, Intel, and the DNC to call it a Russian disinformation hoax. A proven lie which convinced 17% more people to vote for Biden than they would have had they known. Wyoming voters just ousted Liz Cheney, who got only 29% of the vote, but became infamous when the traitorous Pelosi 1-6 committee was chaired by Liz to lynch the last president. Since that isn't working out, parent-hating AG Merrick Garland, who disclaims any White House knowledge, sent in the old FBI crew who worked so hard to rid us of Orange Man and lied their way with FISA judges. This seems like a last-ditch effort to indict Trump of some crime, any crime, anything they can find or make up based on a warrant. That's a garage sale right up through Melania's lingerie and underwear. These people are scared to death that Trump will run, and as predicted by Dick Morris, who will be on the show a little later, win. It's not going to happen unless we do something about it. Time we got in their faces and support our candidates. You betcha. You betcha, America. Let's do this.
Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
Sherman, forget it, he's rolling.
And it ain't over now. Because when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Who's with me? Let's go! Come on! Ah! Where's the spirit? Where's the guts? Huh? This could be the greatest night of our lives. But you're gonna let it be the worst. Oh, we're afraid to go with you, Pluto. We might get in trouble. Well, just kick my ass from now on! Not me! I'm not gonna take this! Murmur, he's a dead man! Marmalade, dead! Nehemiah, dead! Pluto's right. Psychotic, but absolutely right. We gotta take these bastards. Now, we could fight them with conventional weapons. That could take years and cost millions of lives. No, in this case, I think we have to go all out. I think this situation absolutely requires a really futile and stupid gesture be done on somebody's part. We're just the guys to do it. Let's do it. Let's go!
Oh, come on. Let's go. Let's do it. Yeah. Go. I mean, I don't have any other solutions. Does anyone else? We got to figure out how to win. We got to figure out how to fight back. And Ben Domovich was the one who sat there with this Democrat who was hustling how bad Trump is in the light of all the evidence that goes against Donald Trump being the problem. And let me just announce before I get to my next guest, who is somehow, he is like shining stuff in my eyes that he's wearing on his head. We have with us today, coming up very shortly, John Jeffrey Bradshaw, the 254-year-old man, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild, and a special guest, Dick Morris, who has, by the way, he has his own TV show on Newsmax. I didn't know that until this morning when I read it. Elad Hakim, and Mark and Patricia McCloskey. And here with me is my lovely bride, Lisa Ann Weinbaum. Good morning, darling.
Good morning. I'm over here fighting with Facebook as usual.
Yeah, well,
it's getting
I've been fighting with
worse
Twitter.
And worse. So.
Yeah, we just got to keep going. That's all we got to do. And our producer, J.P. Maxwell.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. And right now with us, we have, as I said earlier, a man with so much knowledge over his 254 years that he has to keep, when normal times are around, a tinfoil hat and in mobile times, he has a tinfoil yarmulke. Could you show them again, please? The yarmulke? Yeah. And show them how, yeah, that's right. Well, put it on your head. And, yeah, see how that works? I don't know how it gets, I don't know if he has any stuff that keeps it attached. I don't know if you glue it down or what. But anyways, this man, he actually goes back to the first revolution. And we might be seeing a second revolution here shortly if we don't straighten out this thing that's going on. He is an expert on everything you want to know about America, and we're here to get just a sliver of that information from him this morning. Please welcome all the way from Rolla, Missouri, J.J. Bradshaw. Hi, J.J. What's under that tinfoil yarmulke of yours?
Got a lot this time. Let's talk about the raid on the Clinton residence at Mar-a-Lago for a minute.
The Clinton residence?
I'm sorry. I was thinking of Bill Clinton.
Well, that would be that would be a major scoop. Okay.
That is,
when's that going to happen? By the way, agenda. And when's the Epstein client list coming out? You know.
I don't know. I'm not on it, so I couldn't tell you.
All right. Well, go ahead.
The little Mar-a-Lago raid. There's two things I think that are interesting about that. Judge Bruce Reinhart has demanded that a redacted search warrant be delivered to him by August 25th at noon. And we know how the federal government does things. They will redact the hell out of this. So there'll be like 8 words left in it that make no sense at all. But he, I think, is tough enough to come back and say, wait a minute, you've taken too much out. You're claiming that we're killing your case, but so this is going to unfold. Another kink in this, though, which I found so interesting, Bill Clinton, the reason I've mentioned Bill Clinton's name, in March of 2012, Clinton had taken a bunch of tapes from the White House, declassified them, as is his right, and took them home. The National Archives wanted them back. It ultimately got in front of a judge, and Judge Amy Berman Jackson said this, that the assertion that the archives had that they were government property and the assertion that Bill Clinton had that they were private property, she decided on Clinton's side. Decided that they were personal property we're going to use for his memoirs, which he did. So we have a precedent here from 2012 that essentially says if a president declares this is my personal property, it is. This knocks the wind out of the sails of the FBI's case, in my opinion. I read it. I'm sure they're reading it as we speak and talking to each other saying, well, where the hell do we go now? Because it looks like our whole case is pretty well screwed.
Well, they had a warrant that you're supposed to be specific in a warrant.
Yes.
That warrant was a garage sale right up through Melania's underwear.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they have nothing. There's fishing. I mean, Merrick Garland looked like he was being held hostage when he gave his little screed, where he answered absolutely no questions. Took him less than 5 minutes, and then he takes out and does the straw man thing and says, "How dare anyone object to the great FBI of the United States of America?" You remember that?
Merrick Garland always looks like he's constipated, Dave.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that I would believe anything the man says. Recall that this was a nominee for the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having this clown on the highest court of the land?
Well, he'd be pretty predictable, wouldn't he be?
Well, he's already predictable.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't predict. I could not predict what he's doing. No, I mean this attack on parents who are going to school board meetings as domestic terrorists and getting the FBI on them?
You know what happens when you hit that close to home, Dave?
What?
You got a little revolution on your hand. You're going to have Mother Housewife wanting to beat you to death, and that's a bad.
That's a bad thing for they know that, but they keep doubling and tripling down. They're actually gonna double down on what they've tripled down on. I mean, it's incredible.
People that are acting in absolute desperation, Dave. It's clear. You can only bluff so far, and they're running out of bluffs.
Well, I don't think it's a bluff. Here's the problem: you got 87,000, and it's not just IRS; it's a militia. It's 87,000 people with a gun who could take charge of your accounts, anybody's bank accounts, in about 2 minutes. That's a pretty big threat, wouldn't you say?
It's a big threat. Recognize what kind of response they're going to get from Joe Sixpack when that occurs. They're going to have war on their hands.
Well, they're already getting it. They're already getting it, and I don't know. And Biden is out there like, I won. Look what I've done. Well, you know what happened, don't you? The unions.
The man's oblivious.
Well, okay, but the unions go about 100% to the Democrats. Mm-hmm. He just doubled their amount. The unions did, and so they're going to double or triple the amount that goes to all the Democrats. This is a huge Democratic funding project. This bill. It's all a slush fund for Democrats.
It is.
All right.
And is anybody surprised about this, Dave? Anybody that read that idiotic bill said this is garbage. How could anybody possibly vote for this? Yet it became the law of the land.
Yeah, and both Manchin and Semina got paid off.
On the Democrat side, it's one payoff after another.
Yeah. And
that's how they get votes. They buy them.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I'm not so sure it doesn't happen on the Republican side, too.
Oh, it happens, but we're a little better at hiding it.
Well, we got to fight it. I mean, the polls aren't our friends these days, and that doesn't necessarily mean a lot because the polls have always been phony, right up until November the 7th in 2016, and going into November the 8th, the election day, you saw that Trump had zero chance of winning, which changed through the day. It was a remarkable shutdown of these polls because they wanted the polls. The polls were there to get people so disappointed they wouldn't vote. Why am I going out and voting for some schmuck that has no chance of winning?
Well, of course, it was intended as an election influence,
and it's doing it. They're doing it right now.
Of course.
So, but
neither you or I are not swayed by that. Perhaps some of the sheep are.
Yeah,
they're hopeless. There's nothing I can do about them.
Right, but they are getting contributions. The Democrats. I mean, after all, George Soros is in there throwing money at them left and right. Mm-hmm. You've got all the unions, the teachers' unions, and all the unions in the United States. You got big companies giving them money. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And, we were speaking about Merrick Garland briefly. Kevin McCarthy, the House Minority Leader, said, and I quote, to Garland, preserve your records and clear your calendar.
Yeah.
Because if the Republicans take the House, and I believe that they will, you're going to see a hell of an investigation and probably an impeachment of Joe Biden. I think the crimes are serious enough that it would be an easy impeachment.
Yeah. Well, now, we'll see. I mean,
in the same argument, Liz Cheney, of course, she got spanked like a redheaded stepchild in the primaries. And most of us could have predicted that. She is so left, claiming to be a right person. She claims that she is a principled conservative. Dave, I am a principled conservative, and I am absolutely nothing like her. What she is a mask of conservatism with bleeding blue socialist Democrat underneath. And she claims that she's considering running in 2024 for president of the United States.
Yeah.
Liz, I got to tell you, even the sheep in Wyoming are not going to vote for you.
Yeah.
You have a track record of being a loser on every issue that you have confronted. And I think the primaries should have told you something, Liz. You need to go back to your day job.
Well,
now,
I think what's going to happen, I think this is the perfect job for her now. They ought to have a seat warming up for her because she is an iceberg on The View. The View would be a perfect spot for her. Wouldn't it? Her and Whoopi and all the other crazy people up there, that's where she should be.
You know, I had tremendous respect for Dick Cheney. I thought he was a very intelligent man.
Yeah.
And enjoyed listening to him speak. How in the world did his genes get so polluted to have spawned this chick who's nothing like him? Absolutely.
Well, it appears the Bush and Cheney administration have all fallen into the swamp. And they've become swamped in their brains. It was like that all the time, and we didn't know. I remember Bush being called Hitler and all that stuff, and I'd defend him, but he wouldn't defend himself. I remembered that. Here we finally got a guy who's not taking it anymore. He's giving it back, and they don't know how to handle this guy. He's not one of them, you see. Yes. And neither are his followers, and that puts us all in jeopardy. But that's why we got to fight back, because it's coming if we don't.
It shows like these, the fighting back is where it happens.
Yeah.
And I am really pleased with the latest addition to your show coming up soon.
Yeah.
I want to hear what this guy has to say.
As do I.
As a parting shot,
yes.
You recall Obamacare has been a disaster from one end to the other. But Barack Obama made a comment late in the Obamacare debacle where he said, yes, this is going to be single payer. Well, let me tell you what single payer is. You no longer pay out of your pocket for health care. The government takes care of all of that.
Yeah.
Well, there are two things about that trouble me. Number one, I'm a veteran. So I deals
with the Veteran Administration, and
you do not want it. They are long lead times, inadequate care, about as bad as you could get, third world country all over again, yet they're tremendously funded. I just read an article this morning regarding Great Britain, who, by the way, their national health system is, ta-da, single payer.
Yep.
And has been for some time, socialized health care. They were bragging this morning that 63% of their patients were treated within 18 weeks. 18 weeks. Dave, if you're dying, you're not going to make it 18 weeks to see a doctor.
Yeah, I've heard about their program.
2% of their ER folks, they're bragging now, are seen within 4 hours. It happens that last Sunday I was in Phelps Health ER.
Yeah.
I was seen by a nurse practitioner within about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
This is what we've become used to in this country. And believe me, if this turns single payer, it's going to turn third world. All you got to do is look at Great Britain. All you have to do is look at our Veterans Administration.
Sure.
I'll tell you how bad it is. I have excellent private insurance. So I pay for my stuff and my insurance pays for my stuff. And I stay away from the Veterans Administration because they do this so badly. This is what single payer looks like. This is your government and my government, whether we like it or not, that do things badly on a federal level.
Well, at 254 years old, how are you? That's what I want to know. Are you okay?
You know, for an old fart, I've got pretty good health. I can't complain. I intend to be griping and bitching for a long time.
We're the same age.
Well, yeah.
Thanks for the comment. What else can I do for you this morning, sir?
Dave, love your show. Glad to have a conversation.
Well,
with you
you're the best, man. The best opening act I could ever hope for. John Jeffrey Bradshaw. Thank you.
Good day.
Thank you, JJ. You have a great day. Listen to the rest of the show. I know you will. Here's just a few things from the board. If you want to contact us, you can call 573-578-2700 or
also on DaveWeinbaum.net.
Pamela Tanner, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you, Pamela, and that husband of yours, Patrick? I think it's Patrick, yes. And Owen McNamee, always pushing my stuff on Twitter and Facebook. Good morning, Patriots, and good morning to you. Owen is a big-time Patriot, and I appreciate all he does for me. And everyone else on Twitter. I get a lot of good people on Twitter pushing my show. And well, let's do Reagan. As long as we got the rabbi coming on next.
The story was an American and a Russian arguing about their two countries, and the American said, look, in my country I can walk into the Oval Office, I can pound the president's desk and say, Mr. President, I don't like the way you're running our country. And the Russian said, I can do that. The American said, you can? He says, yes. I can go into the Kremlin to the General Secretary's office, pound his desk and say, Mr. General Secretary, I don't like the way President Reagan's running his country.
Now, we also have commentary from Billy Madison, who from the Billy Madison movie, on what Garland said. That's Attorney General Garland. I think we should play that because I think it's pretty interesting.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah, that's about what Garland looked like. He looked like he was being taken hostage.
Yeah, that clip there pretty much says it all. I mean, it's
yeah. I mean, it was a sad performance. Something's wrong with this guy. I mean, something is literally wrong. Does he really, he was going to be a Supreme Court justice. He's been a judge for years. By the way, he grew up right around where I grew up. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, and somehow almost every person I know who I grew up with is a startling liberal, and the ones that I went to high school that aren't, that are conservative, they're afraid to say anything. They're like, oh my gosh. And it's incredible. I don't know. Where did I get this concept of conservatism? I don't know. I just remember thinking a little differently out of the box than some, and I didn't like being pushed around by a group. Although I was in a group, I was in a gang called the Gothics. And I remember I did a lot of the fighting for them, because I was too stupid and got talked into doing a lot of it. Anyhow, anything else on the board?
I think we got it all. Let's double check here. Oh, John Jeffrey Bradshaw with the comment here.
Okay, JJ, where is he? All right, love this show, and we love you, John Jeffrey Bradshaw. The Dems are keeping this assassination plans that Iran had for Bolton and Pompeo hidden, as well as the Rushdie attacker who was in contact with the Iranians. I mean, they're sort of like, these are ex-Trump officials, Bolton and Pompeo, and Rushdie wrote a book, back in the 80s, I think, where the Ayatollahs had a hit out for him. And a 24-year-old guy, Muslim, who was in contact with Iran, almost pulled it off, stabbed him, and he's recovering right now. But this is the kind of thing that's happening in our world. And how does that, why does this administration do this? Because it's the old Obama administration. This is not any different than anything that Obama was starting to do. The Green New Deal kind of stuff, where we were partners with all these other countries. Well, who's not in the Green New Deal? Who doesn't give a darn about it? China, Russia, and a whole bunch of other countries. So, and it's ridiculous. Only 1% of Americans believe this is a big problem. And most meteorologists will tell you that the effect on the weather and the temperatures are minuscule to the point of no effect at all. So it's a ridiculous thing. And I especially love the fact that people who live in these amazing areas and or have beach houses like, Hunter Biden in South Carolina, where they're all vacationing now, and Honolulu in Martha's Vineyard, that's the Obamas, keep worrying about the oceans covering up these islands or beach properties. Well, it hasn't happened, so I don't understand. Do you? Anybody?
Not I.
Now, and in terms of the COVID situation, Dr. Jill Biden now has a COVID-19, but I'm sure she's been vaxxed, and the president, we know, has had it a couple times, maybe getting it again, I don't know. But all these people have been vaxxed. We were told when this thing first came up by Fauci and the rest of the government that you would not have to take a second shot, ever. It's going to be done. You're not going to have it. All right? And they didn't even mention variables at that time, variations on the actual disease. And none of them wanted to talk about the VAERS report. That's scarier than hell.
And now there's several reports talking about how pregnant women that have taken the shot, like half of them have had miscarriages and other fertility issues. So it's pretty serious.
Scares the hell out of me. I do have a female person in my family who took it. I've also had an ex-wife who and a daughter who have both been shot up and boosted. They just got it. They just got the disease. So I'm grateful they're both have recovered, I think. But still, yes, dear?
Nothing.
What are you trying to say?
I just noticed you were choosing your words carefully there.
Well, yeah. I don't want anybody to die because of that.
But it is kind of interesting how it seems like it's the people that have been vaccinated keep getting it.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
It's not supposed to happen. Now we got this monkeypox, which generally is amongst the people who get this are generally homosexual who are having homosexual sex and or bisex with other women or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's not probably something that you can get by breathing air or touching things.
We mentioned on this very show weeks ago that monkeypox was going to be the next thing because you could tell that that's what they were aiming toward.
Yeah.
And I told my wife that, so she came back the other day and said, well, I guess you were right because now I'm starting to hear all the stuff about get your shot for monkeypox, all this stuff. And then she goes to one of our local coffee places. I'm not going to mention because they're not a sponsor. If they want to get a shout out, they need a sponsor. And but she went there and they said, oh, there's the change shortage. Again, we're back to the change shortage. You have to have exact change or use debit or credit. Yeah, that's what this place said.
You would think I would have heard that.
And I told her, I said, this is all what they do. And she goes, well, what does the change shortage have to do with the monkeypox? I said, because it's all fear. It's this whole ball of wax that the liberals are trying to push. Look at the timing. It's August. And I could tell her eyes kind of, I think you might be right. I said,
as a manager, when I first got into McDonald's in the 70s, I remember going in St. Louis and having this, you couldn't get any pennies. I used to go out and farm pennies out of these banks. and things. And pretty soon I think we were into rounding up or rounding down or something, probably rounding up, I'm guessing. But we, everything seems to be revolving backwards. And, the help situation is rough. I had help trouble in the old days when I was in Creve Coeur, a suburb of St. Louis, when I first started. And we had to bus people in from downtown. And, I had a decent crew there eventually. But, boy, the people around there, the kids were spoiled. They didn't want to work. Parents didn't care whether they worked or not. So even the ones I got, you had to treat them with kid gloves. And it's almost like that today. Although I will say my McDonald's people came in for a yearly inspection, and I'm not exactly a shy guy in McDonald's. They all know me, and they all know I speak my mind. So that's and I'm getting old now, 73. Anyways, we passed with flying colors to the extent that probably the best stores this guy's seen, maybe ever. And he's been around 36 years. And I was kind of proud. I was proud of my people, my managers. That he really only went to 2 stores, but he's been in my stores other times when nobody, none of us were there, and has, never had a bad experience. And right now, when we're scrambling for help, and you don't always have enough people, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal because, we're coming back now with a vengeance on our sales and things like that, where we had last year was, you could only open up depending on how many people you had due to the COVID situation.
Speaking of sales, do we want to do our first commercial break before the rabbi comes on?
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Thank you so much. I was just blabbing around along here. Well, that's what I do. I'm a talk show host. Yep. Yeah, by the way, my name is Dave Weinbaum. I didn't even introduce myself, but I did introduce my lovely bride, the law, Lisa Ann Weinbaum.
Did you say your phone number yet?
573-578-2700. Why?
Just curious.
I did. You heard me. You weren't paying attention.
I wasn't paying attention.
There you go.
I'm working very diligently over here. I can't hang on your every word.
Can we talk about how diligently you worked yesterday?
I did work diligently yesterday.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, I did.
Hit it.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Kent's Jewelry does custom engravings for almost anything. Awards, signs, guns, swords, mugs, yetis, and knives. Kent is the premier custom jeweler in mid-Missouri. We have a great staff, the technology, and equipment to create what you dream for, jewelry and engraving. Kent's Jewelry, 907 North Pine, downtown Rolla, 573-364-1030. That's 573-364-1030. Locally owned. Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about Koi Sushi and Hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is 2 words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day.
At Town & Country Bank, we've got all the perks of a national bank, like online banking, quick loan approval, and you can deposit your check from your phone. But that's not why our customers love us. They love us because we still offer hometown customer service. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly team remind you how special hometown banking can be. We're locally owned and will take the time to understand your needs. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the #1 sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have. And I want to thank my newest sponsor, that's Deleka Car Realty. She's been a friend for decades, and I do a lot of business with her and intend to do a lot of business in the future. She and her crew are absolutely the best real estate outfit in this area, mid-Missouri. And we have a special guest here. Not that he's a special ed kind of guest, but he's a very smart guy. Just ask him. Let's play his song, right?
Yeah, 1 second, Dave. You were talking to another rabbi? Sounds like you're cheating on me.
No, actually, I'm cheating with you on him because he was the first rabbi. Listen to this. I got rabbis fighting over me. This is kind of weird. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the second most powerful in Israel and his own home, according to his wife Yonit, travels the world aligning Christians, Jews, and Muslims. Future rabbi to the Trump Third Temple Hotel, Golf Course, Casino, and Spa, and the official rabbi to Missouri and the Dave Weinbaum Show. Please welcome all the way from Efrat, Israel, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. And by the way, like I think it was Monday or something like that, I'm on the golf course, and I'm getting messages from another rabbi who says I'm stopping off. I'm in Rolla. I want to see you. And he actually went to my house, and my neighbor saw him trying to figure out what the hell he was doing, But he's from Colombia or something. I met him one other time. Seemed like a nice enough guy. Probably ought to get back with him because I certainly did not stop my game on the golf course. I mean, he came unannounced. Anyways, Iran is, I just talked about this, but it's being coddled by the Biden administration by not commenting about Rushdie, his attempted assassination, or the approval to murder Mike Pompeo and John Bolton, both Trump officials, and he I don't know what's going on with it. He wants the Iran deal, just like Obama, to the extent that he's going to hide all this information from America and Israel, I assume, too.
Yeah, I mean, look, Biden, he's desperate for a win, and to get a win in the Middle East, in the international sphere. He's desperate to reset the policies of Trump in the Middle East and to turn everything around that he possibly can, no matter how unreasonable, illogical, and dangerous. And he will do anything to make this deal happen with Iran. He didn't write the book, The Art of the Deal. He wrote like The Art of Being a Sucker. And, whenever you negotiate with someone, if you know the other person is desperate, you can take advantage. And he's just shown his cards and how desperate he is. And he's put Israel in danger. He's put the United States in danger. And as the leader of the free world, he's put the whole free world in danger by coddling Iran, not holding them responsible, giving them possibly the opportunity to get a nuclear weapon. And that's what's going on, in my opinion.
And imagine this: they're all a lot of them are Jews, okay, that are in his administration. Don't they understand that Iran? I mean, it's one thing for Obama to do it, but for all these other Jewish people, do they care that Iran has promised to wipe Israel off the map?
No, I don't think they do. I think this transcends religion, and it's more about the me, what's good for me politically. And it's sad to say, and I don't think it's a surprise to anyone, but politicians in general are more worried about their publicity and getting wins, so the public sees them in a certain way, whether they have to beg, borrow, steal, cheat, lie, and what's good for them. It's pretty rare you get a politician that you feel that pretty much everything they're doing is for the good of the public, even if it means that they have to sometimes not look so good.
Is that why they hate? One of the reasons why they hate Trump so much is that
he didn't need the money, he didn't need the fame, he didn't need the notoriety, he didn't need the retirement pension, he didn't need the lifetime of special health care. He didn't need any of that. So what was motivating him? If you look at the interviews he did on TV 20, 30 years ago, he said the only time I'd run is if I felt like I had something really to do to contribute to the country. And they didn't know how to put that in a box, So maybe Trump's not the most polished guy. Maybe he's not the most, he could say a lot of crude things. But at the end of the day, he had no other motivation. He had everything. And
it's pretty transparent that he, at least to most of us, that he has executed what he said he was going to do and represent America first. Right. And yes, make good deals with other people they could live with, but he was our fan first, not somebody else, who's paying him under the table or through an errant son.
Right.
So,
and there's no question that Trump's policies in the Middle East, as crafted through the people helping him, would have at this point, advanced the cause of peace in the Middle East.
Yeah.
But now, under the Biden administration, we've moved back to old things that don't work, and we've retreated back. Another 7-10 years,
and they started paying Palestinians again to do what?
Exactly.
To kill Jews.
Back stuff that doesn't work.
Right.
It puts lives in danger.
Now, the University of Melbourne, where I heard it was rumored you once were chief rabbi, the student union passed a harshly worded anti-Israel resolution describing Israel as apartheid and ethnically cleaning more than 350 Palestinian villages. Can you go back there and straighten out these people? You did live there, didn't you?
And tell them about the Aboriginals that were there before they got there.
Oh.
And if they're going to light a fire, they're going to throw stones. Make sure that their house is in order, And it's classical anti-Semitism, where you single out one population for something that you yourselves are not willing to concede. I lived in Australia. I'm an Australian citizen.
I know that.
And I know
that's why I said
what goes on there. Yeah. I know what goes on there with the Aboriginals in Australia.
What does go on with the Aboriginals? I didn't get that. That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
What does go on with them? Are they discriminated against?
Completely. And their population suffers dramatically because of it.
Now, some people might not know who they are. They're the indigenous population on that. It's really an island, right?
Right, like you have the American Indians, you have the Maoris in New Zealand, you have the Aboriginals in Australia. They're the indigenous population that the Australians basically dominated.
Yeah.
And how dare them look at the Middle East, where we've been here for over 3,000 years, and tell us that we are not indigenous, that we are oppressing as apartheid.
Sure.
That's
why they call it.
That's what we call chutzpah.
That's why we call it Judea and Samaria, not the West Bank.
That's
right. IDF paratroopers, they're prepping for war with Hezbollah. Where do you think the next war is going to be? Hezbollah, Gaza, Lebanon, Iran, all or some of the above?
You know what? Right now, it's everything that happens. They're not declaring it as wars; they're more like actions or missions. So, I mean, I don't see all-out war anytime soon. Please God, but my biggest concern is really, Iran, and especially with the weak U.S. government dealing with Iran. And so that is my biggest concern, Iran, more than Hezbollah, more than Hamas.
Well, they're driven pretty much by Iran, aren't they?
Exactly. So they're the head of the snake. And so, I think that's really our biggest concern here in the Middle East is Iran. They're state-sponsored terrorism, and they have the natural resources.
In a meeting with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, Mahmoud Abbas, the head of the Palestinians, said, "I have 50 slaughters, or we have 50 slaughters, 50 massacres, 50 holocausts that Israel committed against my people." Needless to say, the German chancellor stood up for Israel. And so what does this do to the reputation of Mahmoud Abbas?
Well, look, he wrote his PhD thesis about the Holocaust, and he said the whole thing was an exaggeration.
Yeah.
It wasn't 6 million killed; it was only 800,000. So he's a notorious a denier of the Holocaust.
Yeah.
But the fact that he said this in Germany in front of the chancellor is just really audacious. And what is troubling, though, is that the chancellor, well, his reaction later was good, but at the moment he didn't say anything, and people were upset. He was like cringing, but he didn't respond immediately. But I just want to read you his response, Dave.
Yeah.
He said this: "Ich bin heute fest im..." No, I'll read you the English. Sorry.
Wait, no, I got that perfectly. Sure.
Okay. He said, I am disgusted by the outrageous remarks made by Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. For us Germans in particular, any relativization of the singularity of the Holocaust is intolerable and unacceptable. I condemn any attempt to deny the crimes of the Holocaust.
How about that? So because you never really know what you're going to get there, you know? You never know, for sure.
You know, I think Abbas was probably shocked by that, you know? It was a pretty strongly worded statement.
I don't think he's going to be invited back very soon, do you?
I don't think they're inviting him for the Christmas party, no.
Yeah, they're taking away all his beer, all his German beer. Anyways, my granddaughter, here I got a question, a religious question here. My granddaughter got engaged, and she wanted to know what the purpose and significance of breaking a glass with a stomp by the groom is.
Okay, so the Bible says that King David says that we always have to put Jerusalem at the head, at the forefront of all our joy. And since Jerusalem is destroyed, we have to remember that Jerusalem has been destroyed. The temple has not been rebuilt. It's still a lightning rod of controversy. So breaking the glass is a symbol that things are not complete yet, that things are not completely joyous. Even at the most joyous moment of a wedding, we have to remember the national suffering.
Well, maybe we can coordinate this to where you could do the ceremony. I'd have to ask them, but
when's the wedding?
I think it's June of 23.
Yes.
Yeah, June of 23.
So I only officiated weddings on exotic islands and places I've never been. So
see, you could have
just
done
keep
ours.
that in mind.
Yeah,
you could have done ours.
I've never seen a rabbi. I've never seen a rabbi that lied so much.
Entire family present as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll pay for that. Sure. Why not? Yeah. As soon as I make some money, if what's his name gets out of here. So, do we have any scoops today?
Any scoops today?
Yeah.
So,
if you do, I have to play something before. And now it's time for Ben & Jerry's Scoop of the Day from Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. Now that's pressure now. You got some pressure on you now, boy.
Oh, boy.
It's not gonna cut it.
I don't have a scoop.
Oh,
my ice cream has melted.
The ice cream is melted. Is that what it is? Yeah. If you criticize, I heard Ben & Jerry have been frozen out of their plant by the Native American tribe there. You know, because of you. Because of you. That was a great scoop. Other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find and contribute?
Go to our website, IsraelAlliance.org or Facebook.com/Israel Alliance. We'd, of course, love to hear from you guys.
Hey, did you hear about the Frito plant that exploded?
The Frito plant that exploded. There were chips all over the place?
Yeah, everyone had a chip on their shoulder.
Oh, you say
ladies and gentlemen, you almost got it.
Let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, not bad. All right. Just, give me a few original ones. I'll wait. Wait, I don't have that long. All right, thanks a lot, Rabbi. Hi to Yonit and the kids. Glad you got back safely. And by the way, next on, guess who I have?
Next what?
The next guest I have.
Ron Dermer.
No, but I wanted you to get him for me, okay? But we have Dick Morris.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So send me an email during the week about Ron Dermer, so you remind me.
Okay, all right. That's great. I want him on. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Rabbi Moshe Rothchild. Okay. That went down pretty good, didn't it? All right, so 9:30, we're going to have Dick Morris. Hopefully I can track him down. I got 2 phone numbers for him. And, it should work out. I mean, the guy's got like 3 or 4 or 5 interviews. He's on Newsmax all day today, and he's got a show. I think it's 7:30. I don't know if he'll tell us all this next hour. Yeah, there he is. and doesn't show his show on there, but his book is The Return. It's called The Return, Trump's Big 2024 Comeback by Dick Morris, #1 New York Times bestseller. And at one point, we both wrote for the Jewish World Review. I wrote there from 2007 to 2018, about 11 years. And then I decided I was going to focus on the radio show. The radio, now it's a podcast and a radio show. And so I stopped doing that. I'm still working at my business. I'm now newly married to this young lady here. And, I do all sorts of things around the house, as she knows. And shut her mic down.
No, you don't.
Shut her mic down.
You're trying to get a lot of brownie points today, I've noticed.
No. No.
You hold the couch down very well.
Well, okay.
I will say that for you.
Okay, I make a living. You got to admit, I make a living, right? I make a living.
Okay,
thank
you.
I pay some bills.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'm good for something. That's about it.
We have a comment here from Owen as well on the screen.
Owen, Dave and Lisa, great patriots fighting for freedom. You got that right.
Thank
and you're right there with us, buddy. You're right there on the front line.
And JP's right in the mix there.
Yeah, JP and
he's actually
I'm not going anywhere.
He's actually at the mixer.
Yeah, at the. Yeah, I was trying to come up with another. Yeah, I'm blanking
mixer.
Here, so yeah, we'll just.
I can't sit here and write jokes.
I said right in the mix, and then I
right in the mixer,
and then I amended it.
Nice job. That was a good one.
Right.
That was a good one.
She's a little mixed up. That's what she is. So.
Would you like a tattoo today?
Stop it! Stop it!
Here we go.
Okay, what? No, that's crickets. Hey, that's wrong. Hi there. Welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Adolf.
Hi, Adolf. What's going on, my friend?
Oh, not much.
All right.
Joanne says, hi, Lisa.
Hi, Joanne. Hi, Adolf. How are you guys doing over there?
What about me?
Well, not too bad. I'm doing
Wait a minute. Why isn't she saying hello to me? I don't understand.
You're included.
I'm a little slighted there.
You're included.
Okay. All right. You can get away with it this time. All right. So what do you got to contribute to the show?
In the last probably 20 to 30 years, the education system has completely run over by socialists from kindergarten through master's degrees.
Yeah.
They're all left-wing, just about all left-wing lunatics, and guess what they're doing? They're indoctrinating the country to their way of thinking.
They've been doing this since for 70 years, quite frankly.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
No surprise.
And one of the byproducts of that is some of these judges that they're always getting all this nonsense from is a product of their schools, and what they're doing is they're judging their whatever you want to call it.
They're making their judgments based on
rather than the law and the Constitution.
Right. Well, they're basing it on their own opinions as they learned in school. That we're evil and we have to change things. We have to change our Constitution. We have to get rid of our judges if they disagree with us. Sure.
Yeah, without a doubt.
All right.
Well, it's been a long, mean week. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I felt like I was some kind of a muffler.
A what?
Muffler, car muffler.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was thoroughly exhausted.
You know what?
I thought maybe you're just blowing smoke.
You know what? Yeah, you know what? Last week I decided that I was a holistic golfer. I got a holistic in one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
There you go.
Right. Nice talking to you. Hi to Joanne again. Even though she didn't say hi to me. All right, thanks a lot.
Bye.
I appreciate it.
You bet.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Adolf. You want to call the show? 573-578-2700.
Speaking of that, where the heck is Chester?
I don't know. I got to call him.
It's been months.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, he goes through these periods where he doesn't like me for some reason.
Yeah, but this is like extended time now.
I have asked for him on the show. There's another guy named Martin. He's been going through some tough times. His family is like dying off almost, and it's just sad. I see him in the drive-thru sometimes, and he says he's going to call, but he doesn't call. So what are you going to do? I don't know. I don't have any idea. Let us do, since we're all getting older, and Dick Morris, by the way, is coming on next at 9:30. Let's talk about Alexa old people. Let's see what we got to challenge for us.
The new Amazon Echo has everyone asking Alexa for help.
Alexa, what time is it? What the hell is wrong with this blasted thing? Amanda!
But the latest technology isn't always easy to use for people of a certain age.
These kids have bought me a busted machine again. On Dessa!
That's why Amazon partnered with AARP to present the new Amazon Echo Silver, the only smart speaker device designed specifically to be used by the greatest generation. It's super loud and responds to any name even remotely close to Alexa, so they can find out the weather.
Allegra, what is the weather outside?
It is 74 degrees and sunny.
Huh?
It is 74 degrees and sunny.
Where?
Outside.
What about it?
The temperature outside is 74 degrees and sunny.
I don't know about that.
The latest in sports.
Clarissa, how many did old Satchel strike out last night?
Satchel Paige died in 1982.
How many you get?
Satchel Paige is dead.
He what now?
Died.
Who did?
Satchel Paige.
I don't know about that.
How much has all of this changed the media narrative that Merrick Garland was kind of crazy to be launching this search just for mere record-keeping violations?
Well, I think there's a lot of people who would like it to change the media narrative, Howie, but they're not going to be able to achieve that, in part because of the change that has happened, the shift that has happened in American life over the past several years, in which the level of distrust for the FBI and for, frankly, our law enforcement services has skyrocketed in the wake of their treatment of Donald Trump, both as a candidate and as president. Unfortunately for them, no one believes them anymore. When they come to the fore and say, these documents are in violation of this, that, or the other, because of classification rules and the like, people simply don't believe them. And they don't believe them in part because of the treatment of past officials who have experienced, scrutiny under these laws, not just Hillary Clinton, but obviously Sandy Berger and others who have been, on the wrong side of this kind of treatment and gotten a slap on the wrist. And unfortunately, I think that we are experiencing the devolution, the decay of any kind of respect for our law enforcement services, especially the FBI, under the current moment. And when you have one party in the Republican Party, really willing to just go to the wall and basically start saying we need to have another church commission to look into the FBI, we've gone past the point where they can have any kind of announcement pass muster with them and actually, meet with some kind of trust from the American people.
Now, here's a guy, we're going to have a couple more clips on him, and I want to also play some clips a little later from Maria Bartiromo's excellent Sunday morning show where she has Kash Patel and Devin Nunes, who've been talking about this FBI, this deep swamp thing for years, and we're slammed for it, and they have very good insight into what's going on and who's doing it and why they're doing it. You have to know what your enemy is before you can defeat them. You have to do a little studying on what their motivation is. And this is a very, very sick motivation by some very, very powerful people, especially in our intel, which I consider to be the DOJ, basically. I don't think our military is really like this at all. I don't think they like the fact that they're being forced out if they refuse to take vaccination. And now all of a sudden the CDC is saying we really screwed up to the
Oops,
yeah. I mean, but that it's unconstitutional, and not only they're doing it at a time when China is and Russia are ramping up World War III discussions, and we're losing people left and right, and nobody wants to come in the military now. We are getting weaker by the moment, which makes us, more vulnerable and more apt to go along and give up our sovereignty. I mean, we're getting to the point now where we're going to have to be split off like Europe in different little countries. Instead of the United States of America, we're going to have the divided States of America. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how the states that have all this welfare and people living outside, people living in the streets, driving normal taxpayers into other areas that might become independent. Who's going to survive? How are they going to survive? Are they going to become a subject of China or something? It could well be. Or a subject of Russia or any other power out there. North Korea, are they going to be a power? I mean, if you're thinking about this, I mean, we're not that far away from it, considering that you have a very, very cooperative president right now who is cooperating with everything the Chinese that China wants. And I'm wondering if this visit to Taiwan by Nancy Pelosi really wasn't coordinated with the Chinese. I mean, Biden doesn't want to screw around the Chinese. They love him. And he's given them everything they want. He just gave them a couple 100 million barrels of oil, for goodness sakes, when we're suffering. So it's incredible. Anyways, if you want to call the show, 573-578-2700. And did you know that the CEO of Pfizer got COVID? Okay. And you got to think he's been taking his own medicine, right? Did he not take his own shots?
I think there's a good chance that he probably didn't take his own medicine.
I don't think so.
My guess.
Minnesota layoffs for schools will be the white teachers first. And this is from their teachers union. Now, this is very unconstitutional. You can't discriminate by race. Yes, I know that it was done in earlier periods in this country, but that doesn't mean you get retribution later on. I mean, I can't imagine if whites were discriminated against back when, 40, 50 years ago, then suddenly whites are going to be able to discriminate against blacks as retribution. Okay? It doesn't work like that, nor should it. Okay? There has been a lot of money going to black communities, maybe not much of it getting to where it was needed, but lots of payoffs there, and lots of school programs and things like that. And it's been corrupt, but you fix a law. Reparations. I mean, should the Jews get reparations for being slaves in Egypt? I mean, the one amount might not be so much, but the interest on it is killer. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it is. And here's a comment from Pastor Pat here.
Yes, you are great patriots. Thank God for shows like yours. Thank you, Pastor Pat, the official pastor to the Dave Weinbaum Show, and the official mother to J.P. Maxwell.
Yep, that's my mama there.
That's your mama. Yeah, she's a good gal. She's a good gal.
She's doing good work, too.
Oh, yeah. She's working hard with my wife here, who's the president of the Merrimack Republican Women's Group.
Right.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
I can't believe it.
And we're having a meeting next Tuesday. Message me if you want to join us.
Okay. Chicago, this sounds almost like a positive story. First, they are providing police protection. For who? For TV shows and movies. But they have none for the hood. They have none for the areas, the west and the south side of Chicago. They don't have any. Who are you calling?
Dick Morris.
Why?
It's time.
9:30.
I'm used to 9:15, so
I said 9:30. Okay. Oh, now the guy's going to get mad. He's probably in the middle of another.
Oh, I cut it off real quick. So.
Yeah. I was wondering why. I'm saying to myself, he pulls the phone off, and I'm saying to myself, wow, this guy's going to be, he's ready for it, you know. And then all of a sudden he's calling. Jeez.
He'll be on very briefly here.
He's probably going to. Did you call me? I was sleeping or something. I don't know what the hell. Oh gosh, we're so nervous, I guess, about Dick Morris. I think I'm ready for the guy, and I think he's an interesting guy. I mean, we'll talk about him later, but he is working really hard. This guy works his butt off, and he knows he's been on so much history with his country. He had a big relationship with the Clintons for a lot of years, even going back to Arkansas. His buddy growing up was Nadler, the Democratic congressman, and he seems to have waffled from liberal to conservative, and I think he was conservative in the White House, and that didn't go over well for the Clintons in the first term. But I think he's the guy that really kept Clinton in office because he made him work with Newt Gingrich, and they balanced the budget. You know, so we're going to listen to him.
Quite a concept there, isn't it? Balancing the book.
Yeah, balancing the budget. And so he left with a reasonably high rate of approval, Bill Clinton, even having been impeached. And that's another issue I could get into, but I don't know if I want to. Because, you know, I remember having a conversation with Newt Gingrich once about the Terry Schiavo case. Remember that? Where they were going to pull the plug, a judge was going to pull the plug on her and basically kill her. And Newt Gingrich is standing there, and I think we were with, what's his name? I forget. He's definitely switched over. I can picture him, but I can't remember who it is. But it'll come to me. Anyways, Gingrich is saying, well, that judge, we need to impeach him. And I looked at him, I said, well, how'd that work out with Clinton? And he looked at me and he says, yeah, I guess. I think I convinced him that was not the thing to do. Because I think this impeachment thing now, look what's happening. Everybody's going to impeach everybody. And now we're going to raid their houses. It's escalating. We're escalating into a Venezuela, third world country type, Cuba and all this other stuff, and one side is supposed to hate the other side. Now, we don't generally hate the other side, but if you're going to push us and tell us that we're going to have trouble, that we're going to be possibly put into centers like concentration camps, and if we don't, get better, if we don't believe the way that the whole country believes, we're going to have possibly people getting wiped out. I mean, that's a real concern now, and I've talked about this for years because I didn't see an end unless there was a little give on the other side, and they keep doubling and tripling down all the time.
And that's why we need to take over in November, so then it's our turn to double and triple down.
Yeah, well, but that's gonna always reverse itself unless we have we have to do something. We have to do something, and we can't let it happen, and we have to have people be accountable for what they've done, but only to the extent that they understand that this cannot happen again. Sort of like the Civil War. When Abraham Lincoln, when they finally won the Civil War to free the slaves, that there was a lot of people that wanted to execute the whole Southern Army, and he stopped them. And he says, no. We have to unite. And he did. It was a very wise idea, but now we're coming to another crossroads in this country that could be just as bad as the Civil War, if not worse.
I'm concerned it could be worse.
Well, and then you got outside interest, outside people. Anyways, let's do another bit. Let's do Seinfeld confession. We didn't do that, do we?
Not yet.
All right, let's do that one.
Tell me your sins, my son.
Well, I should mention that I'm Jewish.
Well, that's no sin.
Oh, good. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about Dr. Watley. I have a suspicion that he's converted to Judaism purely for the jokes.
And this offends you as a Jewish person?
No, it offends me as a comedian. And it'll interest you to know that he's also telling Catholic jokes.
Well...
and they're all jokes. I mean, the Pope and Raquel Welch in a lifeboat.
I haven't heard that one.
Oh.
This base that is controlling the Republican Party, also controlling the media outlets on the right, it's a wag the dog situation because they knew they had to come
I'm
out
sorry.
and doubt
What
it.
she's saying here is simply baseless. The fact is that we have reams of evidence that the FBI has been out of control for a long time. It's been out of control under a bipartisan leadership, under Barack Obama, under George W. Bush, and under Donald Trump. It targeted Donald Trump, I think, in a very aggressive way. But the simple fact is, as someone who's been a civil libertarian for a very long time, arguing against the kind of steps that the FBI took under the Patriot Act to target Muslim Americans in ways that were completely irresponsible, I think that the fact that the Democratic Party is now in the auspices is in the position of defending the FBI as being an institution above board without any kind of questions about them, saying that any kind of criticism of them is incitement. You should be able to criticize the FBI and say that they are out of control in a number of different ways, a partisan way that has targeted Donald Trump.
I got to call time out here because I don't want to spend this segment critiquing the FBI. I do want to say that the media, I think, have earned the distrust over the years. And Laura, did the press really have any choice but to cover this very strong conservative backlash against Merrick Garland, against the Justice Department, when they decided to say nothing for 4 days while people were very upset we hadn't seen the warrant about what went on at Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, well, I think that definitely the vacuum creates speculation, but there was a real difference between traditional media and media on the right.
Okay. That's this Ben Domenech standing up and not taking the lies, getting into somebody's face, just like Maxine Waters told her group to do it. And we can't not do that. We got to turn and fight.
And you notice she didn't like that at all. She didn't know what to do with that. Him coming back at her.
When Laura Loomer chased her into that elevator, she ran like a little kitten. Not bad for an 80-year-old, though, I'll tell you that. And all her henchmen were there standing with her. And she got nervous when somebody got into her face. And that's what Laura Loomer did. She's running too. I don't know if she's had her primary yet. That should be interesting. But we're not connected anymore, so wish her luck. But we got to get out. I mean, this is election time. We got to get it together because the Democrats do. They've got it together. They got a lot of money. They have the polls working for them again. And it's not to say that these polls mean any more than they did in 2016. There's been a lot of Republicans with 10 point behind in the polls that beat these Democrats. In fact, our president, the real president, Donald Trump, he has a great record of endorsement, and the people that he endorses generally win. I mean, it's like 200 to 3 or something like that. So he's got the most amazing power base in the Republican Party and possibly in the country, because people are listening to him now. People, you could say whatever you wanted to about Donald Trump when he first came up, but and for the first couple of maybe the first year or so, when you weren't too sure if what they were saying was right, then you could say, well, maybe there is something there about this guy. But then things fell apart, and Mueller couldn't convict because they had no crimes. And they were talking about, obstruction of justice. All he was doing was objecting to a hoax. He gave them all the records. That's not obstructing justice. So you gotta take this with a grain of salt, and then keep looking, and we find out all this evidence of the FBI colluding and doing this stuff and lying to FISA courts and getting away with it, basically with a slap on the wrist, even during a trial. It's a two-tier system, and that's got to stop.
I would consider obstructing justice to be not revealing a warrant and affidavit that have been requested.
Well,
they should have been presented out anyway.
Yeah.
But especially after the public said, we want to see it. No, you still can't see it. I mean, DOJ has a lot of explaining to do.
Well, they're not doing it, are they?
No, they're staying quiet.
Yeah, they're standing behind
for as long as they can.
What they see as their rights. So, just came out on the screen where this guy in New York, he's standing behind the guy, and this guy's got a backpack, and he's a smaller guy, and this guy rears back while the guy's still behind him and clobbers him with his fist and drops the guy on his head. The guy's was in a coma in a hospital, and he could very well die. And they reduced the charges of this guy to some kind of misdemeanor. He was out of jail within a day, and he's a sex offender. He's like a career criminal. So, all right, we're getting ready for our buddy. I'll tell you what. Why don't you go do the commercials again, and while we're doing that, you can get him on the phone. Hit it.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Kent's Jewelry does custom engravings for almost anything. Awards, signs, guns, swords, mugs, yetis, and knives. Kent is the premier custom jeweler in mid-Missouri. We have a great staff, the technology, and equipment to create what you dream for, jewelry and engraving. Kent's Jewelry, 907 North Pine, downtown Rolla, 573-364-1030. That's 573-364-1030. Locally owned. Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about Koi Sushi and Hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app. at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping, too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333.
Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day.
At Town & Country Bank, we are committed to providing exceptional service to our customers. We do more than just provide loans for our community. We help make dreams become reality. Whether it's a new home, farm, business, or a new car, we would love the opportunity to help. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly lending team remind you how special hometown banking can be. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the #1 sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
Gotta reach 'em, see it right now.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have. Let's play a song first, real quick. Let's hit it.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time to stand and say...
Okay, New York Times bestseller author, political consultant, has talked to Trump over 100 times for his newest book. He has his own TV show on Newsmax. Please welcome, I believe from New York, Dick Morris.
Not just from New York. I'm from the 36th floor of Trump Tower.
Really? Oh, you live there.
That's where I live.
So you're a neighbor of Donald Trump, and
I'm in fact the only guy in New York that likes his landlord.
So, well, thank you for coming on the show, and been watching you for so many years. It's incredible. Do you realize though that I'm 20 days older than you, Dick?
Wow, good.
Yeah, 20 days older.
Well, I'm glad somebody made it that long.
There you go. You're just a kid.
Good.
Anyways,
Hey, I've got a story for you.
Please.
This is today's Bill Clinton's 50th birthday. While we're speaking about age, and I went to his 50th party. It was a big fundraiser at Rockefeller Center, and afterwards, Hillary cornered me and said, were you at Bill's birthday party? And I said, yes. She said, did you pay for the seats? And I said, yeah, proudly. I said, paid $1,000 for each seat. And she said, did you see those act-up demonstrators, the gays who were yelling at Bill and me? And I said, we couldn't miss them. And she said, do you think they paid for their seats? Do you think they have $1,000 each to pay for seats? No way. They were planted there by the Republicans. They paid for their seats, and they're going to do the same thing to us at our convention. I want background checks on everybody in the audience. I want Social Security numbers. I want FBI files. I want to make sure that they don't plant audiences to boo at us at our convention. So I knew enough not to challenge her when she's on a jihad. So the next day I was in the Oval Office with Bill, and I said, Hillary was bending my ear last night about background checks and everything on people at the convention. And he said, I know, she's on a tear about that. Don't worry about it. We're not going to do that.
I think it was what was the guy that was the guy that ran the guy that is on Newsweek, George Stephanopoulos.
Stephanopoulos,
yeah. He said about you that you had more power over Bill Clinton than anybody has ever had on any president in all time. When you got him to sit down with Newt Gingrich and balance the budget, then you probably saved his tuchus.
It did. It was more Trent Lott than Gingrich, but yeah. I had a very simple argument. I said, you'll lose if you don't sign this thing.
There you go. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
I believe that we're at a very serious juncture, and I predict it in my book, The Return. The Democrats have despaired of using the political process to stop Trump. They know he's going to run. They know from these primaries that he's going to win the Republican primary. They know that the numbers are so much in his favor that DeSantis and Pence and Haley and Cruz, none of them are going to run against Trump. He'll win the nomination basically by acclamation. Liz Cheney may run, but nothing serious. So they are going to resort to the criminal justice system, the judicial system, to try to bar Trump. And there are a variety of vehicles they're looking at. Is to say that the January 6th riot wasn't just a mob going crazy. It was an insurrection against the United States government, and that Donald Trump led it and encouraged it. And the reason they're trying to prove that is that after the Civil War, the southern states, as they got readmitted, sent all kinds of Confederate generals and former public officials to Congress in the election of 1866, year after the war ended. It included the vice president of the Confederacy. Stevens was a senator from Georgia. And Congress said, hey, wait a minute. We didn't win on the battlefield to give it away in Congress. We're going to tack on to the 14th Amendment a provision that says that if you engage in a revolt against the United States, you can't hold public office. And what they're trying to do is to frame Trump for doing that. And the January 6th committee didn't come up with enough evidence because they're not much good and because Trump didn't do anything. But so the raid at Mar-a-Lago, which they claim was for archives, nobody gives a damn about archives. And in 20 years, some historian will discover them and have a ball. The purpose was to get in the front door at Mar-a-Lago so that they could clean the place out and search every document and every hard drive and try to find documents or plant them that implicate Trump as leading an insurgency to invoke the 14th Amendment. And that's their strategy. That's what I say in The Return, and that's what's unfolding in front of my eyes right now.
And who's going to believe that? I mean, after what he's been through,
you know who might believe it?
7 years.
A grand jury in D.C.
Oh, yeah.
packed
Well,
with
there you
Democrats.
go. Yeah.
And a jury in D.C. in trial packed with Democrats.
Yeah.
The appellate courts will throw it out. But that is their strategy. That is what they are trying to do. That was the purpose of the January 6th committee.
Right.
That was Liz Cheney's hit mission.
Yeah, there you go. And she got 29% vote in Wyoming when she got about over 70% the first time she ran.
No, that's just the first shoe to drop.
Yeah.
The other shoe that's dropping at the same time is the expansion of the IRS, which is part of this plan.
Yes.
Just as they're trying to hound Trump out based on trumped up, if you pardon me, legal grounds, they're also trying to intimidate his voters by audits by the IRS. Raising money is pretextual for that. They know that they're not going to come up with much money. Millionaires and billionaires hide their money so deep that 86,000 thugs with guns aren't going to be able to do much. But individual entrepreneurs, bodegas, mom and pop stores, waitresses and waiters who work for tips, Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, those folks are going to get scorched with audits. And the IRS will come in and say, hey, we don't think you properly reported your tips in April of last year. And the year before, you deducted as a business expense a dinner you had, and we checked with the restaurant, and you were alone that night. So you have committed 2 felonies. You have lied on federal forms to federal officials. We could indict you, but you seem like a nice guy. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But, don't provoke us. I mean, take down that Trump sign in your yard and get rid of that stupid bumper sticker. And for God's sakes, don't let my boss know that you were at a Trump rally, because he goes crazy with that, and God knows what he'll do to you. And those are the tactics they use in Eastern Europe to keep everybody in line. They don't send them to the gulag anymore. And that's what they're using here. So between those two, trying to use the judicial process in a phony way to keep Trump off the ballot, and using the IRS to intimidate his voters, just like they did with Lois Lerner 10 years ago, with Tea Party groups. That's their strategy.
What is the IRS union and the money they give the Democratic Party? Doesn't that have a lot to do with it, too? Because they're getting a ton of money from the IRS union. And now they've doubled the force of the IRS. They're going to get even more.
Yeah, the IRS union is basically a communist union. The people who work for the IRS are true believers. They really believe in soaking the rich, and they think that that's their divine mission in life. And they work for the IRS as a labor of love. And sicking them on the average American taxpayer is going to be a sickening sight. I mean, the Democrats are crazy. They think that hiring 87,000 people armed with guns to investigate their bank accounts, go through their garbage, monitor their financial transactions, snoop every aspect of their lives with the goal of squeezing every last dime out of them in taxes, penalties, and fines, and maybe locking them up. They think that's popular. They think they're going to win the election based on that. In fact, I think that it's the biggest mistake any political party has made since Bill Clinton's pushing Hillary care in the first 2 years of his presidency before I got there.
You conclude that in your bestseller, The Return, Trump's Big Comeback 2024, that he'll run and win. How did you conclude this?
Well, the same way I did in 2016 when I wrote a book saying Armageddon, Trump will defeat Hillary. I look at public opinion. I'm a pollster.
Yes.
And I look at the underlying opinion that people
But
have.
all the polls were saying back then, right up to Election Day, that he was going to lose 100%.
Yep. And all the polls in 2020 said that he was going to lose Michigan and Pennsylvania by double digits. And now the polls are saying that his Trump-endorsed candidates in the primaries will lose the general election to the Senate. Those are all fabrications of biased polling firms that are cooking their data to mislead people.
And they're doing that for what reason? What are they doing that for? I know, but you tell us what they're doing it for.
First thing they do is that they sample registered voters, not likely voters.
Mm-hmm.
And some don't even sample voters. They just do all adults. and only about 40% of the American people and about 60% of the registered voters vote in congressional elections. The right way to do this is to ask people, are you likely to vote? And if they say yes, then interview them. And that moves the polls 5 or 10 points more Republican.
Sure.
Because most of the ones who don't vote are Democrat. And secondly, they make sure that their sample includes about 40% Democrats and about 25% Republicans.
Right.
And it should be 34-34. That's what the turnout.
Okay.
So they're basically weighting their data to make it more anti-Republican. And the reason they're doing that is for the Democrats, they want to decrease the flow of funds to these candidates. And for Mitch McConnell, he wants to stop the Trump-endorsed candidates from going to the Senate because, well, they'll be Republicans and they'll vote for the Republicans to take over. They will also vote against McConnell. And he's trying to stack, not just win the chamber, but stack the caucus with his people.
Amazing. Hey, who will be running against Trump in 24?
Hillary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, let me tell you how.
How?
After the 22 election, the Democratic leader, I write all this in my book, the Democratic leaders will come to Biden and they'll say, hey, look, we had a disaster this year and we can't let you lead the ticket in 24. We won't throw you out using the 25th Amendment, but we do want you to announce you're not running again. And he'll agree. He'll do that. And then the floodgates will open and all the Democrats will come out of the woodwork to run for the nomination.
Well, you got a vice president, don't you, Kamala?
And yeah, but her numbers are 10 points worse than Biden's. So if she runs, she'll be swept aside easily. And the guys who will run in the primary, the leaders, will be the leftists because the electorate has moved so far to the left in the Democratic Party. So it'll be Sanders, Warren, and I predict AOC. And that Democratic leadership is going to be so freaked by those polls, just like they were in 2016.
Yeah.
And just like they did in 2016, they'll come to Hillary and say, you got to run to save us from Bernie Sanders and AOC and Elizabeth Warren. And she'll say, okay. She'll lose the primaries, but she'll win the superdelegates who are appointed. So based on that fix, she'll win the nomination. And then Trump will absolutely slaughter her in the election.
Really? Well, how do you think? Why? How is he going to slaughter her?
Well, first, his record. Trump can run in a way nobody else can. He can say illegal immigration, sealing the border. I did it. Low inflation. I did that too. Gas was $1.80 when I was president. And that's an argument nobody else can use. And I think that plus the Hispanics and blue-collar voters and millennials leaving the Democratic Party and going Republican is going to boost them tremendously.
Now, I can talk to you all day, but I know you got a time budget here. Can you talk a few more minutes or what?
I can't actually because I have another.
Where can people find you and buy your books?
Thank you. The key one is The Return, Donald Trump's successful comeback in 2024. And I wrote it to lay out what we're going to do, but more importantly, the obstacles we're going to face. I want Trump voters to read this to understand what we're going to have to go through in the next 2 years to end up with Trump as president. All of the indictments, all of the investigations, all of the witch hunts, everything we're all going to have to go through, not just Trump, but all of us, the IRS audits. We're going to go through a reign of terror. But if we hang in there, we'll come out with Donald Trump and we'll save the country.
You know, because of all this, I was actually going to be an astronaut, but they ran out of space. Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Morris, thank you so much for your first appearance on the Dave Weinbaum Show. I hope we can do this again.
Me too.
Thanks. Great weekend to you. Bye-bye. All right. Hello. Woo! That guy can talk.
And had a little bit of insight, too.
Oh, my goodness. I think we got a scoop there. Wait, that was a scoop of the day. Let's play that scoop of the day again.
I don't know that you should be advertising Ben & Jerry. I just think
I don't
you're
care.
giving them free public.
It's a Ben and Jerry's Scoop of the Day.
Now it's time for Ben and
Jerry's Scoop of the Day from Rabbi Moshe Rothchild.
Or by Dick Morris on this one. We have to redo it.
Yeah, Dick Morris.
Be a different
Scoop of the Day. It's going to be Hillary against Donald Trump in 2024. Goodbye, Kamala. No way, Liz. So that was very interesting. He talks so fast; it's hard to follow him. I know he was in a hurry. He's got interviews stacked up all day.
Yeah, I was going to say, I could tell. I think he was getting ready for the next one. So
yeah.
But really, I would not have thought Hillary again. I really wouldn't have. So
he didn't wait for me to ask questions. If you notice,
no,
he just started it.
He knew what he wanted to say.
He knew what he wanted. It's fine with me,
And the link to buy his book is in the comments on Facebook and also on DaveWeinbaum.net.
Yeah.
There's a link there. Take you right to it. You can buy it through Amazon.
But this guy's been through so much history in the late 1900s and up through now. He's kind of my age. He's younger than I am, actually, by 20 days.
Only by 20 days.
Yeah, and I could tell. There's when Jews are talking to each other, there's kind of a. I was a little tense for this. I'll admit that, but. Because the guy has his own show. He's got his own TV show. He was on Fox for about a decade, I think. And he knows the inside of what's going on in politics. He's very good at what he does. I was going to ask him about him and Karl Rove. I wonder what he thought of Karl Rove. I mean, there's so much stuff that I want to get out of this guy. I want to know. What happened to the what happened to the Bushes and Cheney and her old man? I mean Liz and her old man.
Even back when I was a big Bush supporter way back in the day, I was never a fan of Cheney. There was something about him that just rubbed me the wrong way. I just didn't trust him, and I think now there's good reason to feel that way now.
But boy, he said some nasty things about Donald Trump and his ads for his daughter, and he's right. I don't see her going anywhere. Who wants her? What would they want her? And well, in my mind, why would they want Hillary?
30% of the vote in her own state.
Oh, 29%.
29, yeah. So
you're giving her a lot more credit than she deserves.
So come on,
the seat on the View is looking pretty good.
I hear there's openings,
and Hillary's getting up there too, isn't she? She's no.
I would think so. Yeah,
spring chicken any longer.
Nope.
So interesting, and but it looks like we're going to have to go through hell for a couple years. The IRS is going to be all over us. So what do we got next? We got who was amazed that I got Dick Morris, and that was my next guest, who happens to be Elad Hakim. So I'm going to now call him that Dick Morris was the opening act for Elad Hakim.
Yeah, he was, and Elad has been writing this past week a lot on Facebook about this whole raid situation. Pretty interesting narrative that he's been putting out there.
We're going to be talking about that. So let's go play something here. Let's play. You wanted to play Pelosi Frankenstein, right? Why don't you go and play that?
This is Nancy Pelosi.
You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic.
This is Nancy Pelosi.
And I just want to make the point.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, and I'll say it again.
Yeah.
When they tell you their strategy, believe them. That spelled it out, exactly what they do, and we're seeing it played out right before our eyes. Believe what they're saying right there.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's how they fight. They don't have the truth.
Right.
So they got to use tactics.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's tactics you can use and still use the truth, but they don't know what the average person thinks. They don't care, really. They think they can bully their way through, and that's what they're doing.
Starting to find out that that's not the case.
Well, we'll see. They did it this time. Cheating, bullying, whatever you want to call it.
I'll tell you right now, if I have IRS agents knocking my door and say, take the Trump flag down or whatever, I'll say, then you better just come on and bring it because it's not coming down.
Yeah.
I won't do it. Well, I already made a stand with, my employer on the vaccine mandate. I'll do it with this too.
Well, good. Then they tie up your bank accounts, then what?
That's fine. They're not going to intimidate me.
Good for
I'm not having it.
Well, I'll cross that border when I get there. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat, they say, and oftentimes I don't know how I'm going to fight back. I just know that I'm going to fight back, but without a real strategy, that's something that you kind of create, and you kind of do a little work on examining the other side, what they really have, what they don't have, and you cater your attack based on that, and then you watch their behavior. You watch him. Right now, Biden is very, very cocky, if you notice.
But we have
very cocky. That trip with his son Hunter right now in South Carolina, where this guy's been on vacation for 150 days of his first year and a half in office. He hasn't given a press conference since August the 6th or 7th.
And yet Trump goes and plays an afternoon of golf, and they're all over him. You should be working.
Even now.
But we have this clip from Dershowitz, and I think that says it all, where he talks about, he says it all in this
I want to play that.
Clip.
I want to play that for
Elad. Yeah,
for Elad.
You want to pay attention to that when we play it. It's very good.
Definitely. Alan Dershowitz has a great comment or two on that. Let's play the two of the cash clips. Let's do 2 and 3.
It starts and ends with Russiagate. The corruption and the two-tier system of justice that Devin and I exposed during Russiagate has been carried out to the Hillary Clinton email investigation scandal, to the Hunter Biden laptop, to Jan 6, and now to the raid on President Trump's home. And let me clarify. Basically, the same corrupt FBI government gangsters, the same agents that were involved in Russiagate, the same counterintelligence agents that were involved in making the bad false call on Hunter Biden's laptop, you're going to see are the same counterintelligence agents that helped raid or assist in the raid to President Trump's home. And why is that a problem? Because these agents knowingly break their oaths of office and the law, get promotions, and we need to demand their names. Guys like Auten and Tybalt and other guys who also stood up to fake Whitmer prosecution in Michigan. When Devin and I first marched down to DOJ to expose the likes of Peter Strzok, they laughed us out of the building. But what happened? He was placed on administrative leave because he broke his oath of office.
I think this goes back to the IRS scandal where they targeted conservatives. I think it goes back to Fast and Furious during the Obama administration where they ran guns and tried to set people up. You remember? And then innocent Americans ended up getting killed. It goes back to Benghazi. They got away with that. And then you have to remember it was late 2015 or 16 that we get to the plan where the Clinton campaign, working with dirty cops at DOJ and FBI and the media, I must say, where they set up to spy on the Trump campaign and ultimately Republicans and frame an innocent man that then led to what? So that was the Russia hoax that then led to the Mueller witch hunt. So all of this stuff is intertwined, and then you just fast forward, Cash mentioned, the Whitmer case and Jan 6 and whether or not federal agents were involved in that. So you just stair step, and then ultimately this leads to what? This leads to something never done in American history before. You had a president's home ransacked by the same goons that were involved in all of this.
Okay, now coming up next, we have Elad Hakim, who is now Dick Morris is now his opening act. So that's pretty cool. He's going to like that.
Funny how that all changes. It was Chris Adamo for
Yeah.
a while, and now, look who he's got now.
Well, Chris Adamo should be honored by this too. He was commenting on it also. He says, "Can you mention my book to him?" I had no time. I got to write a book just so I can mention a book. I actually have my liberal daughter, Amy. She wants to ghost write a book for me. Do you believe that? Did you hear that?
No, you didn't share this with me.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sharing with you now.
She would snatch every hair out of her head.
What?
She'd snatch every hair out of her head.
Why?
Amy?
Yeah, Amy. My daughter, Amy.
Writing about your engagement in conservative politics and shows.
Yeah, why not?
She'd look like you by the time she's done. Because she's a flaming liberal.
So?
You guys get in arguments every time you're on the phone together.
Dick Morris is like, Hillary. So.
Oh, you think you're going to flip her?
I'm not going to flip her, no. I have a title I have a working title for my book.
Well, you didn't tell me about this.
Okay, sorry. Well,
what is it?
We were talking much yesterday, as I recall.
I was very busy yesterday.
5 Broken Helmets. And I'll go into the rest later.
No more football. No more football.
No, ladies and gentlemen, we have our next guest. There he is, a handsome fellow. No longer with the black T-shirt. He's dressed up. He now knows that now Dick Morris was his opening act. How about that? All right. And that should make Chris Adamo very happy, I would think, too. Anyways, let's play his song. Powerhouse South Florida lawyer, the FBI had to pass his home to get to Mar-a-Lago. Pundit tying law and politics and the Perry Mason to the Dave Weinbaum Show. Please welcome all the way from Boca Raton, Elad Hakim. Good morning, my friend. I want to play a little clip for you and get your comments on it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've had a principle for 60 years. I wrote about it in my new book, The Price of Principle, and that is if there's a dispute and one side wants the truth to come out and the other side says, no, we don't want the truth to come out, always believe the person who wants the truth to come out. That's the person who's telling the truth. And so the Trump people want the affidavit to be released. The Justice Department doesn't. Now, I'm not suggesting releasing the entire affidavit. You can redact the names of witnesses. You can redact the name of agents. You can redact sources and methods. But let's know what they were looking for. I want to know particularly, because to get a search warrant of a safe, you have to have very particular evidence what was in the safe. From reporting, we now know nothing was in the safe. We need to know what was in the closet of Mrs. Trump.
So, Elad, do you have any comments on that? Was Alan Dershowitz, as you probably know. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I think he's entirely right. And I think that goes to the bigger issue about the warrant. You know, the warrant was so broad and lacked the requisite specificity that Mr. Dershowitz was talking about. What are they looking for and why are they looking for it? And look, I think that when push comes to shove, we're not going to learn much of anything with the affidavit. You know, if you looked at the order, the order allowed, I don't know why they waited a week, but they gave him a week to redact, and then they gave a judge or an administrative judge who clearly isn't the biggest fan of President Trump the right to review the redactions. So by the time you're done, I just wonder exactly what you're going to learn of anything.
Yeah, and what you're going to learn is probably that this is a big fishing expedition because they don't have the goods on them for 1/6, wouldn't you say? They got to have something.
I think that's the theory. The theory is that, and a lot of people who do criminal law and have experience with this have been saying, look, if there's a dispute with records, then, and especially if you've got a former president who's cooperating, it's not as if he was stifling their efforts. He was cooperating. There's no need to bust into his personal residence. So, yeah, I mean, that's the theory. The theory is, hey, we have a warrant that allows us to basically seize everything. I think if you notice it was like any communication, any presidential records from a date certain to now, right? So that covers everything. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like what they were doing is it was fishing. They were looking for information that they could potentially tie to some sort of crime.
If they do indict him, they're going to be indicting him in D.C.
That's a problem.
And they have a grand jury there. That's a huge problem, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a problem. And, I think his lawyers are going to fight like hell to either remove, we're looking kind of fast forwarding, but they're going to look to remove the case to a different place, to get it out of D.C., change venue if they can. And they're also going to look to suppress, a lot of the information that they got based on the faulty warrant. I mean, we're assuming that probable cause was established to allow a search of that nature and such a broad scope of a search. So they will, even though I'm not a criminal practitioner, Law 101, they're going to move to suppress information that was derived from this search.
In Illinois, change basis here a little bit. Healthcare workers are suing to get their jobs back and for damages from punishment for refusing to get vaxxed. Is this kind of thing going to be happening in all areas of people who were blocked, including the U.S. Military?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear about that in Illinois, but I suspect so. I suspect that that'll be happening, especially now. The CDC has come back and kind of reneged on all its prior, cautionary, cautionary tales as far as social distancing and all that. So I suspect that we'll see it. And you know what, Dave? There's no shortage of lawyers that will take those cases. So I do suspect that'll be the case.
Is that including yourself?
No, I stay out of the COVID related issues.
Well, we know your standpoint on COVID vaccines. Does this change it at all? That the CDC is basically saying that we didn't know what we were talking about?
Well, look, I mean, does it change it as far as do I regret getting it? I mean, listen, I don't regret getting the vaccines. I've never been, I can't say never. I think initially when COVID started, I was a little bit upset for when people didn't get the vaccines. But as information came out and they said that, hey, this isn't so, the risks of serious illness and death, God forbid, are much lower than the risks of just a regular cold or flu. Then I began to understand my standpoint changed. So, no, I mean, I don't.
Okay. I don't want to re-argue that because I know how passionate people get.
No, I think that people should have the right to decide. But God forbid, and I know I raised this to you before, God forbid there's something that's lethal out there and we're in the same position where there's a choice to get a vaccine. I would probably feel more passionately about, hey, how much are we jeopardizing others by refraining from getting a vaccine on a potential virus that is a killer, God forbid? So I just wonder. I wonder how people would respond to that, because then you have the same issue.
That was the dialogue back then. Is what this is a killer. And maybe it did kill a lot of people. I'm sure, but so does the flu. And
I hear you.
I mean, it's like it was exaggerated. There were people dying who hit their heads on a concrete curb, and it was considered to be what? It was considered to be COVID.
100%. Listen, yeah. I respect your position, and I can't necessarily say that your position is wrong. It's not wrong.
And then the other end of that is you got vaccines that through the Vayer reports, you can find that there's a lot of things that bad happened to a lot of people that had these vaccines.
100%.
And, the Vayer report is published in the New England Journal of Medicine.
100%.
Where these guys, if you say the word New England Journal of Medicine to a doctor, he bows in reverence. And then you say in the next sentence, so when you read the New England Journal of Medicine, what did you think of the Vayer's report? And they said, what the hell's that? I mean, seriously. I've had every doctor tell me that. A whole bunch of them, locally and my own doctor. He didn't know anything about the Vayer's report, but I read the New England Journal of Medicine. Okay, well, you missed a part. You know
listen,
what I'm saying?
I know that you're very well read on this. You've been invested in this, in the whole COVID thing. So I completely respect your opinion. I know that you're not just talking. I mean, you've read about it.
Well, thank you. Yes, I have. So what do you think of this Judge Bruce Reinhardt? I wanted to. Did you expect him to release, to give an order to have even a redacted affidavit? I mean, or
based on what I've read from people who have experience with criminal law, many were surprised that he would do that.
I was.
Typically, my understanding is that if charges are ever filed, then an affidavit of that nature is kind of limited to the defendant or defendants and their lawyers. I think that the judge felt the heat because the media was pursuing this. Mm-hmm. And but like I said, I don't think you're going to get anything here. I think you're going to get like whereby and therefore, and the rest of it's going to be blacked out. I mean, and I agree with Dershowitz. In a case like this, you should see it, and eventually, if they do file charges, you're going to have to know who provided this information.
Sure.
Not we as Americans, but Trump, if he's indicted. I mean, he has to know because he has the right to, he's going to have the opportunity to question them.
Has Trump seen the affidavit?
I don't believe that they've seen the affidavit. I don't know, but
don't you have a right to know if you're accused of something? Or
I think that if you file charges, I don't. Again, I'm not in the criminal realm, but I think that if you file charges, they filed it under seal, and I don't believe that he did. Otherwise, the concern is, and it was predictable. They were saying national security concerns. The one concern that is, potentially legitimate is whoever did provide the information. They're not exactly going to want their name out there for the public to know. You saw what the left did to the Supreme Court justices, who can't hide their names or their identities. So that's the concern. I'm interested to see what comes out. I don't know why it took a week to do that. I mean, but this judge shouldn't even be on the case. This judge should have recused himself, just like he recused himself in the Trump-Hillary case.
Yeah.
He's got public posts that are not exactly favorable to Trump, and he shouldn't be on it.
Why do you think he took the case? Was he pressured into it?
I don't know. I can't speculate why. I mean, maybe because of the high-profile nature. I don't know. The point is, he shouldn't be on it.
Yeah.
He should not be on it. He should have just recused himself. You can't have a judge who's not who's potentially biased against one of the parties making a decision on an affidavit. What's disclosed based on a warrant that he signed. It just doesn't smell right, and it doesn't feel right.
Sure.
So he shouldn't be on it.
Yeah. Let me give you a little bit from your opening act, Dick Morris, who says that he wrote a book that says Trump in Trump 24, and he's going to win. And guess who his opponent's going to be?
Yeah, I listened. I heard the last 10 minutes. He thought it was a good interview.
Thank you.
It was
Hillary.
He said Hillary.
Yeah.
Look, he's a lot more experienced than I am. I'd be shocked.
Do you know where he lives? Do you know where he's calling from?
No.
Trump Tower. He lives there in New York. That's pretty good. And the guy's had 100 conversations with Trump to do his book.
he's very seasoned. He's very experienced, in the know. But I would be shocked if Democrats allowed Hillary to run again. I think he was talking about some sort of technicality as far as how she would get the nomination. But I'll tell you what, that's
the super electors.
Yeah, I mean,
but who else do they got? They can't run. They're not going to run Biden. Do you think?
Yeah, they'd be better off. They'd be better off running someone like Michelle Obama.
Oh God!
I mean, seriously, Hillary is that. That's a losing proposition right there. That's like throwing in the towel.
Yeah, that's what I think.
You know, America's already suffering.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do? You want to bring in somebody who's got a history, a clouded history. You talk about Trump and what they're creating. They're creating against Trump. There is Hillary Clinton. She's already lost twice.
Well, Hillary Clinton, but Barack Obama doesn't exactly have the greatest credit either. He's a little smoother than the other ones, but this is the third term of the Obama administration. Do you see all that falling together? The Iran deal, the Paris Accords, everything they're doing is including paying the Palestinians to kill Jews in Israel. Okay, I mean, it's all the Obama administration, and most of the people that are involved in the Biden administration, in one manner or form, were with Obama, Biden back in 2008 to 2016.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. I just, all that aside, I do worry with Michelle Obama. I do think that she would garner a lot of support, and I think that would be a challenge. You'd have to really tie her to what we're experiencing now. So you really have to sell that, hey, if you want more of what's going on now, it's just that it would be a fourth installment, basically, of Obama's term. So, but I do get concerned. One thing that Mr. Morris said that I didn't even consider is the IRS and how they are kind of there pressuring the voters, like almost threatening the voters. Right. I thought that was interesting. I never really thought about that.
And they compared it to third world countries and how they keep their population in line.
Yeah, I mean, it's so on the one hand you've got the criminal aspect against Trump, and he was also right as far as insurrection. The 14th Amendment. There's very few ways that they can get to Trump. They can't prevent him from running. A conviction won't do it. An indictment won't do it. But insurrection could do it, because insurrection could allow them, based on the Constitution, to bar.
But they don't have any. They don't have any proof of that via the 1-6 committee that we know of. I mean, they'd be shown it by now.
I don't think so. I mean, this is a game. Keep in mind, it's real easy to paint the picture when you're only presenting one side.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? You can say whatever you want.
Right.
But we've seen, when we saw the impeachment, and you saw how Republicans, Gordon and some of the others had a chance to tear in to some of the testimony. All right.
Oh, God.
Changed,
Yeah, and these guys, I don't know if you watched the Bartiromo, Cash and Devin Nunes, but they just ripped it apart. Cash Patel and all that. Why don't you play a couple more of those clips for Elad 4 and 5, because I think he'd like those.
A lot of people have criticized, the FBI and the DOJ, and I think rightfully so. But someone are making these calls, and I would say that the people that have been involved in all those scandals that I just listed are the very same people that are now in charge of the DOJ and are at the White House.
So you're talking about Susan Rice, you're talking about Jake Sullivan, and you're talking about Lisa Monaco, who is the Deputy Attorney General?
Look, if you don't believe that those people were involved, you're living under a rock somewhere. And look, you only have to go as far as this. You can just look at how they produce their narratives. They come out with their narratives. Remember, the raid happened on Monday. And nobody had even asked this yet. This was only a few, within minutes or a few hours after this raid, or during this raid when President Trump announced it on True Social, I might add. He announces that, and then what happens? They immediately say, the White House didn't know anything about this. On Friday, when Merrick Garland, who shows up an hour late to give his what looked like a hostage crisis, he looked like he was painfully going out there. He looks like he just got the hell beat out of him. And what happens? They say the White House knew nothing about this. Well, look, that tells you the White House knew everything about this. If you don't believe the Deputy Attorney General and the top people at the White House know this, you've been living under a rock.
The money, I gave it to my attorney in grace because I felt it was given to me under very suspicious circumstances. And upon coming back to the United States, I had about 7 or 8 FBI agents rummaging through my luggage looking for money. And what I think this whole setup was all about was trying to frame a FARA violation against me that I was under some sort of illicit surveillance for actually, I think, years leading up to and during my time on the Trump campaign.
That was George Papadopoulos, by the way, who they got him $10,000 in Europe somewhere, and he says this is crazy. So he gave it to his lawyers. But when he got back to the USA, the FBI was waiting for him and waiting to pin him with this $10,000 bribe or whatever. You see, to connect Trump to this.
Right.
So, any reaction to that?
Yeah, look, this is a perfect example. And I was telling you how I was growing disappointed with the legal and the justice system. And this is exactly why. This is using the system as a political, basically as a weapon against political enemies. This is, and, you know, you got to be careful with what you say, but it sometimes seems like it goes all the way up to the judiciary. I mean, there is just no explanation how you can pursue a alleged records, act violation against a former president, yet leave people like Hunter Biden and Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden unscathed, like untouched. There's no rational explanation for it. And if you have to look at it objectively, and just looking at the warrant itself and the way the raid is conducted. I mean, the warrant is signed on a Friday and not executed until a Monday. They wait 18 months for information that is that crucial.
Yeah, it's urgent
type related information. It doesn't smell right. And listening, I like listening to, really experts in the know. I actually reached out to Mike Davis yesterday on Twitter and emailed and texted him. And I said, I'm really, great job for what you've done. He provides really, really good explanations because he's experienced with this. And what they've done is it's a travesty. And think about the precedent. I wrote a piece and they were think about what former and future presidents are going to think if all the stuff that when they're done with their term, they take stuff home. They don't know if they're going to be pursued criminally.
They all do it, don't they?
They all do it. Of course, They all do it. And there's a question about classification or declassification, and Mike Davis came out and provided really good analysis about what the president's rights are. The president can basically classify and declassify as he sees fit, right? So what do? They get an emergency warrant with 30-plus agents to come to his personal residence to look for potential violations of a Records Act, and you're telling me that that's not politicizing the FBI and the DOJ and the justice system? That is absurd.
And you're right. You've opened the door to the future. This is our door to the future.
What president is going to take anything home? I'll be like, keep it all.
Yeah, keep it all is right. It's not worth it.
If you're going to pursue me criminally for this, and by the way, that statute is not even a criminal statute.
Yeah,
that's a thing. It's never really been utilized, and people are hinging, relying on the fact that it allows.
They got to find something other than Melania's underwear, I think. And they'll find something.
Abuse.
Huh?
It is a disgusting abuse.
Oh, sure it is. Sure it is. And Merrick Garland, I think he was a federal judge. He understands. That's why he looked so uncomfortable when he gave his press conference, which wasn't much of a press conference. And that's why he was late. I think they had to drag him out kicking and screaming. Because he's a judge.
What?
He knows
You're
better.
Right, but he shouldn't have signed off on it then.
Of course.
He shouldn't have authorized it. When you get to the higher echelons of authority, it comes with pressure.
Yep.
And, hey, the buck stops with you.
You got it. Hey, other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find and hire you?
Find me on Facebook, Thoughtfully Conservative, on Twitter at Elad Hakim or Thoughtful GOP, or just look me up, Elad Hakim.
Elad, did you hear about the squirrel with a breast fetish?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he was a chestnut. Ladies and gentlemen, Elad Hakim. Hi to your lovely bride, Amers, and all the kids, and Shabbat Shalom, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Shabbat Shalom. A great job on the interview.
Hey, thanks. I really appreciate that. Believe me. We'll talk later.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Be well.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. This is cool. We sort of have a little club going on with these people because all the interviews I've gotten through the years now, a lot of these people talk to each other on Twitter and Facebook, and he sends out stuff to Trump lawyers and to me and to Chris Adama, and we spread it out, and I send stuff to them, and they spread it out on Twitter mainly, but I put all his columns out on Facebook, and it's pretty interesting because we all kind of feel the same about stuff, and these are bright people, which means that I can actually deal with bright people. I didn't always have that experience when growing up. So, did you?
What?
He's not listening.
What experience did I not have growing up?
Of dealing with you probably felt pretty confident working for people that you thought might be smarter than you, although you are.
I worked for you.
Oh, okay. Never mind. You were just a kid.
Yeah, but you yelled.
We got a caller.
Hi there. Welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
From Wyoming.
Hey, what's going on, my friend? You got rid of Liz all by yourself.
Well, that's what I called about. Looks like we not only got our main task done to get the vile witch out of here, but we also, there were several down ballot races. We didn't do well in the governor's race. I don't personally like the guy that's the governor, but he's middle of the roader.
Okay.
But we have a very conservative Secretary of State that we elected. I don't think you're ever going to, with this guy, I don't think you're ever going to see these drop box ballot things in the state of Wyoming. Also, in one of our bigger cities, Casper, which is the second city in Wyoming, Chris Adama will be happy to hear this. We got rid of a rhino senator and 3 rhino white House members. So the trend here is red and up and out with rhinos, and so it was great. And I hope that some of the down ballot stuff was because of Liz, because as I told Chris Adamo, our mutual friend, the amount of vitriol here in Wyoming towards Liz Cheney, I mean, it's we're talking about Adolf Eichmann in Israel. I mean, she became just detested here.
I mean, I can't tell you how many people said, well, I like her. I mean, people that I kind of know, and I like her. Why?
The funny thing, Dave, is she used to sing all the right tunes.
Yeah.
I wrote her a letter in 2020. Now, get this. August of 2020, I get a letter back from her.
Yeah.
And in this letter, she praises Donald Trump to the hilt.
Yeah.
He's doing this, he's doing that, all this stuff. So, and then
what
all
happened?
Of a sudden, something happened.
Yeah.
And I think the something was Trump, when he started talking about getting out of Afghanistan in a sane way, not the way they did it, but he said, we can't keep doing these Bush-Cheney wars.
Uh-oh.
And I think from the moment he said that, that's when we started to notice her little public statements change. So basically, here's the deal. For 43 months out of Trump's administration, he was a good dude. All of a sudden, he became the most dangerous thing since Mao Zedong. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't track, and she got exactly what she deserved. And the good news, though, and I'll tell Chris this later when I hook up with him, is that the rhinos are kind of
all right. Listen to me.
Here in Wyoming.
I got my next interview on. Let's talk later. Get yourself an ability to get on a screen somehow. All right. Talk to you later. Thanks. Well, let's see. I think we have somebody on the phone here, and we're going to play a song for him.
We are the champions, my friends. And we'll keep on fighting
To the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. Okay, my next guest was a candidate for U.S. Senate, now going for AG in Trump's next win. He was stopped by a BLM mob who came on his property and threatened to kill him, rape his wife, and burn down their house. He's a lawyer and he's a good friend. Mark and Patricia McCloskey. How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good. Hey, you forgot to mention they threatened to kill my dog. That's the serious part of all this.
Oh, the serious part? Wait a minute. Your wife is involved and you're worried about the dog? Oh, that's I don't want to be you. Is she listening to this?
Oh, yeah, she's right here.
Yeah, okay. Is the gun hidden, I hope? I don't know. Anyway, so when Trump runs, do you have a shot at AG? Seriously?
You know, I was talking to Patty about this in the car. You know, no one could be less liked than Kamala Harris, and yet she's vice president of the United States right now. So, go figure.
Well, here's my scoop of the day. You know, I interviewed earlier Dick Morris.
Oh,
here's my scoop of the day. The scoop of the day, he says, is that, and by the way, he lives in Trump Tower. He had 100 interviews with Trump to write his new book. That Trump's going to run in 24 and he's going to win. And on my show, he said, I asked him, well, who's he going to run against? And he said Hillary Clinton again.
Yeah.
That's a scoop. And he's going to beat her terribly.
Yeah, no, I believe that. I believe both parts of that. I think Hillary will run again, and I think Trump's going to trounce her.
I think so, too, and I think it's very fitting that he runs and wins again. And, I mean, what do you think of all this ruckus that's going on? Are they just trying to find anything they can put on this guy to prevent him from running? And what, if anything, can work?
Well, you know, Dick Cheney said it the best. I don't know if you saw that commercial Dick Cheney did for his daughter, where he flat out said what everybody's been saying since the get-go. The January 6th Commission isn't about finding the truth or finding out what happened. The January 6th committee is to find a way to keep Donald Trump from running for president again or to keep him from getting elected. He said, you know, nothing that Liz has done in her life is more important than what she's got now, which is the champion the fight to make sure that Donald Trump gets nowhere near the White House again. Oval Office is what he said. And that's exactly what all this is about. But, you know, I've been kind of laying low for the last 2 weeks since the FBI and the DOJ decided to exercise their Gestapo-like tactics and invade the home of a political adversary to see what the traditional Republican Party would do, to see the kind of outrage that Mitch McConnell would raise and the incessant clamor of the Republican senators that this is outrageous. This cannot happen in the United States of America. It's just been deafening crickets.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right.
I mean, you know, you get the impression, one of my employees used to say, you kind of get the impression that everybody secretly, and some of them not so secretly, want to see Trump fail because they're all part of the same inside group, and they want business as usual, corruption as usual. Look at Liz Cheney. She had a net worth of $7 million when she got elected to Congress, 6 years ago. I think her latest disclosure is $44 million.
I heard it's over 30.
That's pretty good income on $174.
How did you? Now
$174,000 a year.
That's an interesting question because I had a guy call me just now who's a friend of Chris Adamo, and he's been on the show too. His name is Charles Cole, and he lives in Wyoming. He knows Liz Cheney, and he says, none of this happened. He's all through 2020. She was praising Trump to the hilt, and all of a sudden Trump said we got to get out of Afghanistan and stop these Cheney-Bush wars. And then that's when the change occurred. All of a sudden, she was anti-Trump.
Well, the other thing that Dick Cheney said in that commercial, it's amazing how people can lie so comprehensively and hope that everybody forgets the truth. Mm-hmm. But he says something like how Trump lied to his supporters, and a man can never lie to his supporters. This is a guy who said regarding Saddam Hussein, we know how many weapons of mass destruction he has. We know where we've got them. Based on absolute lies, invaded the neutral country, resulting in the death of billions and the starvation death of 500,000 kids. And he's got the guts to go up there and say that Trump lies to his supporters.
Yeah. I don't know. Were you against him and Bush originally? We're just learning about him, aren't we?
I'll probably lose some supporters by saying this, but with G.H.W. Bush having been head of the CIA, having been the ambassador to China when we started becoming apologists to the Chinese Communist government, he's been a one-worlder. He was a guy that first openly used the Great Reset phrase, New World Order. Mm-hmm. These guys have been the enemy of America from the get-go. And I hate to say it about GW, but obviously Dick Cheney ran that White House because, sometimes you're not too smart because you're 79 years old, and sometimes you're just not too smart. No, I've never supported them. I probably supported G.W. Bush over the alternative in those days. But they have always represented everything that's wrong with the Republican Party, and that is that they, in the guise of constitutional conservatives, have done more to undermine the integrity of this country than any Democrat that I can recall. At least the country recovered from Jimmy Carter because we elected Ronald Reagan. The powers that be, the people that seek a one-world socialist government, are so thoroughly in control of our government, our education, our media, and our military now that I'm not sure there is a way to come back from it.
Yeah, that concerns me, but there has to be a way. And one of the ways is to get Donald Trump back in the White House. That's one of the ways. And the other way, the problem with Mitch McConnell is that he doesn't want Trump or too many of Trump supporters in the Senate. That's why he's talking about, we might not win the Senate. He's not going to work for guys in the Senate because if he works for Trump-endorsed senators, he's out.
Yeah, and it's not just him that's out. It's all of the cohorts and everybody that he would like to see continue to rule the world. And he doesn't want to have Trump. He doesn't want to have real constitutional conservatives. He does not want to have an independent and free United States of America. He wants to have the same global New World Order that Joe Biden talked about on March the 21st of this year. And he's all in on that and has always been all in on that, as have been the majority of everybody of both parties for almost as long as we've been alive.
So it doesn't appear like Liz is going to get the indictments of Trump from her committee, and that's it's more of a clown act in that it's like there's no due process, and they have no evidence. But now they've got a garage sale from Mar-a-Lago, including Melania's lingerie, I guess. And so,
maybe she was writing confessions on the inside of her panties. Who knows these things? Yeah. If the FBI reported that, that Melania had secretly written a confession on the inside of her underpants, the leftist media would report it as the absolute truth.
Oh, gosh,
and half the people in the country would believe it.
Gosh, yes. But not Brian Selter. He's gone. He won't be reporting that, at least not from CNN.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about
he's probably too conservative for the network now.
So you're probably pretty happy with the 87,000 more armed IRS agents who are now told that they can willingly use deadly force.
Not told they can willingly. As a mandatory part of the job, they have to be willing to be armed and use deadly force. I mean, those tax evaders really need to be gunned down. And here's the thing, right? This guy that just pled guilty yesterday they're going to give him 5 months in jail. They went back 15 years and alleged that he had $1.7 million in unreported, not W-2 income, but apparently like perks, hotel rooms, lunches, stuff like that. When the IRS goes back 15 years and accuses you of doing stuff like that, and they tell you got to keep your records for 3 years, how do you go back and defend against that? And if you're now subject to being gunned down by armed IRS agents if you resist, I mean, how can the average person possibly defend against that?
As what Dick Morris said earlier, he says they're using this tactic not just as a moneymaker, because it's a huge moneymaker for the Democrats, because they own the union basically, and now they've doubled the union, and they're going to get tons of money in. But it's about how to control people. How they do it in third world countries is they send out all these tax collectors, and then they make deals with guys and say, by the way, that Trump sign outside, you don't need that, do you? They'll make little comments like that, and yes, they are armed, and we don't want to come back, but just do us a favor, will you? That kind of thing.
And then you think about how many different coercive arms of the government there are right now. But 240,000 people work for the Department of Homeland Security, a military organization. Now you had 87,000 more armed and dangerous IRS agents. How many different groups of the government? And you've got everybody from the post office to every other federal branch of government buying up ammunition like there's no tomorrow. Yeah. Why does the post office need ammunition? Why does the IRS need ammunition? Why does the CDC need ammunition? But they're buying up ammunition. Does this sound like we might be in the middle of a civil war and we just haven't noticed it yet?
I think I've been saying this thing is coming for about 4 or 5 years now. I still don't see any way out of it. It's getting worse.
I've been saying it on the campaign trail for the last 2 years since we started on the Bush on the Trump campaign.
And I think a lot of people thought I was crazy.
Every speech we gave for 2 years, at the end of it, somebody comes up to us and says, there's more of us and we're better armed. And my response is that if there's any possible way to fix this politically, we need to do it, because the amount of bloodshed that would result from that civil war is almost unthinkable. Yeah. But the thing that's more unthinkable is just giving up our freedoms.
And as my last interview, Elad Hakim said, look at the precedent this sets for future presidents, knowing that they can just come in and search your house for anything. Yeah. And he says, you know what, if I was president, I'd tell them to keep everything. I don't want to take anything out of the White House, but they can still go through your house.
And the reason for going through the house isn't to find documents or to find evidence, but to create a pretext under which anything you wish to plant as evidence, you've got a legitimate basis for saying you found. And that's what it's all about. Go to Melania's lingerie drawer isn't to see her deities, but to say, look what we found secreted away someplace, when it's completely fictitious. How these people can con the world into believing anything they say anymore shocks me. But most people just accept what they hear on the evening news as truth. They don't have the time or the energy to do any independent research. And they believe that the United States has always been here, always will be here. And people in D.C., they may be a little corrupt and they may steal a little bit, but they're basically okay.
I think we're looking at possible splitting up of the United States. Like Europe,
Yeah.
And I don't know how the states that are liberal are going to survive, because they're surviving on our tax money right now. I mean,
the United States as a country is just like the state of Missouri as a state. We've got the big population centers on the east and the west that control population-wise and gross vote-wise, what happens statewide. And even now in Missouri, where we have supermajorities in both houses, we still can't get a single thing done because the real conservatives are labeled as extremists, and everybody that wants to go along and get along, they've now called themselves Republicans, whereas they used to be Democrats. But we still have this constant progression to the left.
So other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find you?
Well, I'm still online or on the web at McCloskey4Senate.com and McCloskey4Missouri.com. We're going to be launching new websites here shortly. We're in the process of making a decision on how best to attack the left from now on. And we're going to keep doing this. When we said on that July 4th of 2020, when we survived the second assault in our house, when my wife and I said that we were going to put the rest of our lives on hold and do everything we can for the rest of our lives to pull back our freedoms and reestablish our constitutional and God-given rights, that wasn't just rhetoric. We're going to do that. And now this Senate campaign's over, we're kind of reassessing what the most effective use of our time and efforts are for the future. But we're going to be doing whatever we can to save this country for the rest of our days.
Well, you're certainly going to be welcome on my show. I want to make that very clear. I respect you guys like you don't know, because you stood up for the American dream. You stood up in front of a huge and wild crowd, and you risked your lives for your country right there on your front lawn, and everyone should come to appreciate that. I
appreciate that, and I think that what everybody needs to do is recognize that the end of our country as we recognize it is so very close right now. If it didn't end completely on the raid at Mar-a-Lago, it certainly was the first step towards absolute totalitarianism. If the federal judiciary has decided that it can control the political process, I've been calling this coup by subpoena for the last year, but that's really it's gotten worse now. It's coup by actual assault.
And you have a message here from Owen McNamee, a good friend of mine. Hello, Mark. You are a patriot, and so is your wife. So, and I just want to tell you my background a little bit. I come from a neighborhood so tough, we used 38 specials as toenail clippers. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark and Patricia, all the way from, St. Louis. Thanks so much for being a friend and a guest to the Dave Weinbaum Show.
I sure appreciate it. Thanks for having us on.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye. Okay, I got about 14 minutes, so the phones are free. Boy, I'm wearing out. I'll tell you what. Joe Dalton, what a great program. Great job, guys. Well, thank you, Joe. And what else do we got? Anything? There you go. All right, going to call the show. Oh, Patricia again? Let's see. Pastor Pat. We have a team going, Dave, and just wait and see where all this goes. God is in it. I certainly hope so. Boy, do I need his help. Man, I pray a lot, and I'm a believer, And, I like to think I always pray for one more good show. And I think this was one of them, and I like to take new challenges, especially at this old age, and, of course, I'm dealing with a guy that's only 20 days younger than me, and that's a pretty good inspiration. This Dick Morris is always hustling. He's out there hustling all the time, and he's been to places that I haven't been to, and it was a little bit, he pretty well controlled the interview, which is fine.
You can tell it's not his first interview. He knows where to go and what to say. Yeah,
exactly. He didn't want he knew he had 15 minutes and he had a message to give out. And I like the fact that I got a scoop out of him. Yep. I like to get scoops on my show. So if you want to give a scoop, let me know. And I want Charlie Cole, who is listening, I hope, I want to get him back on the show, but I need his ability to be able to do the tech stuff to get him on camera.
Yeah, if you have a webcam or anything like that, we can easily send you the link and you can be on the screen. It's pretty easy. So.
And Mark McCloskey and Patricia, I want them on camera too. I want everybody on camera because I'm talking to somebody, I can see them, and so can the audience, and I think that works out pretty good, don't you?
It's added a lot of value to the show for sure.
All right. Well, let's add a couple more things. Let's do clip 7 and 8 or 6 and 7. I'm sorry.
The Democrats are involved in this. They coordinate with the media. And like I said, these top-level Obama-Biden officials are now at the top echelons of this current White House and Department of Justice, and they're basically facing no scrutiny. And look, I don't have any, I'm not buddies with Merrick Garland, but, I was in Washington for a couple decades, and what you saw on Friday was very unusual. I mean, you had a sitting attorney general who shows up 3 days after the fact, right? So they ransack the president's home. They get all these boxes. Nobody knows what the hell's in it. President Trump says, look, let's release this warrant. And then I'm not kidding you, and I urge people to go back and watch that. Isn't it strange that a sitting attorney general 3 days later shows up 45 minutes late for his own press conference that he called? The White House claims they don't know anything about it. He marches out there, gives a quick, complaining about the way DOJ and FBI are being treated, as if you're oblivious to everything that's happened the last decade. And walk off stage, you exit stage left without taking any questions. When the first time in history, this is what's led to what I think a lot of Americans believe. It's not just they don't trust DOJ and the FBI and all the things that happened to George Papadopoulos and others. This is why you see America beginning to look like a banana republic, if it isn't already.
President Trump named me his representative to the National Archives months ago, and we've been in a bureaucratic battle. As Devin and I have always said to you, we found whole sets of documents we needed out to the American public from Russiagate. We got out about 60%. That's why President Trump made it his mission to declassify and be transparent. In October of 2020, he issued a sweeping declassification order for every Russiagate document and every single Hillary Clinton document. Then on the way out of the White House, he issued further declassification orders, declassifying whole sets of documents. And this is a key fact that most Americans are missing. President Trump, as the sitting president, is a unilateral authority for declassification. He can literally stand over a set of documents and say, these are now declassified. And that is done with definitive action immediately.
Okay, so we've got that, and I've got a few other things here, but I'm gonna relay some other news that you might not be aware of. Alec Baldwin. The FBI says he did pull the trigger that killed his producer and injured the director. And he's still in denial of it. He's calling that a lie. Oh my God! Another person calling the FBI a liar. Fake news CBS author or anchor Nora O'Donnell claimed the DOJ said that Trump's passports weren't confiscated, and then the FBI gave back the actually confiscated Trump passports. And she got into trouble with so eager to give bad news on Trump that she ignored her company's tradition and rules that they must have two sources. She only had a single source, and it was wrong, but she was so eager to convict Donald Trump.
How can you give back something that wasn't confiscated? Isn't that interesting?
I know. Chocolate ice cream. Did you know chocolate ice cream, they now rated it as better than a granola bar, and bacon is better than couscous? Did you know that, honey? Bacon is better than couscous?
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Okay. And pancakes are better than an egg omelet. Well, wouldn't that depend on what is in the egg omelet?
I don't think so.
They're
way off base.
I'll tell you what, my wife is a good cook.
They're way off base.
She makes a great omelet. I mean, did we have that yesterday?
Day before.
Day before, yes.
Yeah.
The CDC major shakeup: masks, tests, vaccines, school closings. They admit they were wrong. They're just not, and they're trying to cover it up. Well, we did our best. You know how many people you affected and got infected? How many deaths you might be responsible for What an outrage.
And I find it interesting that just a couple of weeks ago, Fauci has announced that he's going to probably retire at the end of Biden's first term. Imagine that.
What does that mean?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Is he moving somewhere? He's probably got.
He's not going to tell us. I can tell you that.
Yeah. And he's responsible for a lot of. He's responsible for a lot of deaths. Hell, he helped fund it.
I would have a lot of trouble sleeping at night if I were him. I'm just going to put it that way.
Well, I don't think he understands that as well as you think he understands it. I think he's thinks he's scot-free. Anyways, but he probably is. If you're looking at the way things happen here, Cheryl Chumley, I got to get her back. This is all interesting. This has opened the door for me. This getting Dick Morris, that was a big deal for this show. Okay, not that I don't love everyone else, but it was a big deal because he's been around the block a lot of times, and he is a A1 interviewee. Not that anyone here. A lot of people have started on this show, they've done other shows, but they're not exactly the kind of a guest that you'd get with Dick Morris. And so now I'm going to contact this gal. Her name is Sandy Frazier, and I'm going to see if I can't get some of my people aligned with her so that they can get more appearances for different places. Okay, wouldn't that be a good idea? Yep. Santiago Villegas, CDC's new COVID guidance finally admits what NCLA's suits said about natural immunity all along. How about that? Now, who is NCLA?
I'm not sure.
Northern California, Los Angeles, or what?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Maybe see if she can comment back.
She can probably hopefully she'll come. She's a great listener. She used to be tied with Jeff Zink.
Yeah, campaign manager, I believe, or working on the campaign.
That's what I thought, but I don't think she's with him anymore.
I don't know.
They're still friendly, I think. So.
And I find that interesting because
Lorraine Pinkava. Top of the morning to all. Top of the morning to you, too. Thank you so much.
That is my mother-in-law there. So.
Your mother-in-law?
Yep.
Okay.
And I agree with Santiago here on what she was saying because at my doctor's appointment back in May, I've got 1,000 more antibodies than somebody vaccinated would have, and the doctor flat out told me this means you at some point were exposed to COVID. If you never had symptoms, you now have immunity. You can't get the vaccine.
Well, how long does the immunity last? See, they don't know that either.
Nope, but apparently for quite a while, she said, I'm good.
But
so.
the other thing is it's come out that the more vaccine you take, the easier it is for your immunity system to be destroyed. And maybe that's why all these people who did the boosters and all this other garbage, I mean, that was a pretty good conversation I had with Elad, who was staunchly, we had an argument on here, and I had an argument with Amers about it, too.
And
Dr.
Rabbi
Amers.
As well, kind of.
And the Rabbi. Now they're figuring out that I'm not as dumb as I look.
It was kind of interesting. You could tell there was a little bit of an adjustment there on it. Yeah.
Yeah, no need to laugh. You married me. If I look dumb, that bad on you. Okay.
I have to agree with that one.
Not as dumb as I look, huh? Well, that's good. Good. And they're still kicking the military out for refusing to take the vax. Arizona and Nevada water supply is drying up. Lake Mead is really down. They're praying for big snow this year so it'll melt into it. My idea was pretty good. You just had a major flood in St. Louis, Kentucky. Have some kind of a system, a pipeline that takes all this water and cleans it and sends it out to these other areas that have areas where it's dry.
Yeah, we definitely have had enough rain. We could give a few gallons out and not miss a single minute of it. And on kind of a local note, good old Albert Pujols yesterday, pinch hit. Grand Slam, 690 career home runs. He's that close to breaking 700.
You know what? They got to bring him back for a year. I think Yachty's done. I think Yachty ought to be a coach of something.
He'll be back. Yeah, he'll be back as a coach.
But I think Pujols stays.
If he's too close, you got to come back.
Wainwright's going to stay. He's on the top of his game.
If you're Pujols and you're 5 short, you got to come back and get the record. I mean, you have to.
13 zip yesterday. They killed him.
Albert's hitting right now like he was back when he was here originally.
He is leading several categories in baseball. I don't know what they are, but he's leading.
Since the All-Star break, he's been one of the hottest hitters. Yep.
My God, they can't handle the guy, and he's like 87 years old. Yep. Anyhow, listen, this has been a fun show, and I want to thank everybody who participated. I want to thank all my listeners out there. All the people that push me on Twitter and Facebook, and I'm fighting these guys because they want to, they want to sort of like ban me, is what